Right. Good afternoon. So we are meeting today. Something not our normal usual time. Is usually we met 3:30, but today we are meeting around 1:30 as your normal scheduled time. Right. So today I'm going to be with you for next 4 hours, and then I'm going to cover my the topic that is environmental and credit environmental issues, right? Up to now, we have done, I suppose, is around 8 hours, right? And the balance 4 hours, we are going to discuss about. Basically, we are going to discuss about the new things, right? In fact, honestly, if I talk to you in a very my lecture last year and this year, right, is totally different. So this year I have add a lot of new things, basically what is prevailing in the credit market, right? What I have discussed last year, uh, maybe not appropriate now because the environment is keep on changing. So as you know, therefore we need to study the new things, what is happening in the present credit environment, right? Okay, so we will continue where we have left last time. There are some areas to be done. If what I'm going to discuss with you today, I'm going to discuss the balance part of the regulatory aspects, and I'm going to discuss about the specifically ecological factors on credit businesses, and then may if time permit, I'm just going to discuss about how to introduce a new credit product to the market, right? Suppose if you are intend to introduce a new credit product to the market, and in fact, I'm going to discuss, right? So that is basically a new product development process. So that is applicable for credit or any other deposit products or liability products or whatever, right? Assets or liability products, it's applicable the procedure. But I've tried to emphasize on developing a new credit product, how you're going to introduce, what factors you're going to look at it. Hmm? Okay, so let me commence my operations and discussing with you where we have left last time, right? And we discuss in greater length, I think you may be aware with me, the consolidation, right? Now, why we need to, why banks going for a consolidations, why financial institutions are going for consolidation, we'll discuss in detail. So let me now discuss about the overview of the apartment industry in Sri Lanka. Now, if you put it in nutshell, right, there is some representations by Condominium Developers Associations of Sri Lanka. So they are the people also interested about this apartment industry, and administrations and legislations of Condominiums Management Authority. So that is Apartment Ownership Act 11 of 1973 there. And then we have some, according to the information, we have around, at the moment, around 900 apartment complexes completed, right? 900 complex apartment was completed with 15,000 units, while another 200 pipeline in 13,000 units. So that's the present situation, right? As far as the apartment business is concerned. Now, then you noted that there may be a challenges we are going to face, the pricing, and up to now for the last 10 years, 7,600 luxury apartments built in Colombo, over the past 10 years. So 90% within that Colombo and 50% within the Colombo city itself, right? Now, with all these things, what do you think? It's too much apartment going on, or maybe it's too much, or maybe so supply is more than demand. Okay, so that's so you can understand about the apartment industry in Sri Lanka. Now, So let me now explain a little bit of future of apartment industry in Sri Lanka. Right, the future of apartment industry in Sri Lanka. So if you really look at it, there are some future. If you discuss with apartment of future of apartment industry in Sri Lanka, so there may be a significant positive findings and also significant negative findings. Right, so we need to understand that, and also certain managerial implications, economic implications, and social implications. Right, and finally I'm just going to touch with you some recommendations about the content on the apartment business. Right, okay, now you noted that the existence of demand enablers, right? So that means if you think about the demand, right, what do you think now? Flexibility of the developer to accept the potential buyer owner of the unit part of the design process, right? That of course, the flexibility of the developer to accept the potential buyer part of the design process. Sometimes, most of the time now, some organization design according to the customer requirement, right? And also you noted that whatever said and done, still we have a rapid utilization in Sri Lanka now, especially in Colombo and the metropolitan area, right? So that is another enabler of demand in the apartment industry in Sri Lanka, right? Now somebody say, are there any demand in Sri Lanka? Yes, because whatever said and done, the urbanization, that means people want to come into the town or to the Colombo, is increasing, right, for various reasons. So that will give an opportunity in the apartment industry, right? And also, and also availability of uh, amenities also as an enabler of demand. Then if you look at it from the strong financial system support, right, in Sri Lanka, basically if you look at it, the availability of credit lines has been identified. So has been due to excess liquidity in the market, sometimes same being a lucrative source of lending for banks, right? And banks identify these are lucrative source of lending. And because of, as we discussed a couple of weeks ago, because of our uh, policy rates issue, and we reduced the policy rates, right? Therefore, there's a ample liquidity came into the market. So because of this higher liquidity, and there is a tendency people to make use of to buy those condominium, because the inflation is going up. As a result of, people are going for alternatives. Now, what are the alternatives people are going? In that case, one for gold, right, and for land, and also this is another expect. That's another area your people are look at it. The inflation is going down. As top of that is there's a liquidity, ample credit available in the market, right? So all of these things, and there's a demand increase, right? So except if you're really talking about what happened to the apartment industry in Sri Lanka, why is demand has gone up? Due to all these factors, right? Now, then what are the negative impact on that? If say sometime maybe there may be a potential oversupply sometime, because of this demand is increased and potential oversupply. So the research, the one research found that the current supply basically exceed the demand for apartment. Current supply is more than the demand, right? Okay. So then another important factor in today's concern is what? The construction cost, right? So construction cost is going down. You see the construction cost in upward trend. That maybe due to various drivers, right? The inflation has increased both the cost of material and the labor source locally, and there are some taxes imposed for imports, cost of raw material imports. So there are restrictions of import due to the currency situation in Sri Lanka. And sometimes there may be a uh, construction costs may be going up, even though nobody has realized in deep inaccuracy of cost estimation. Now, cost overruns and time overruns all matters, right? So that's a negative aspect of apartment industry, right? So we discussed the demand. The one of the negative aspect is construction cost, right? And how about the another important factor is the some regulatory aspect. If you really look at it, as far as this apartment is concerned, so we have some sort of a weak regulatory framework. We have to accept that. So we have a weak regulatory framework. Now, reactive role of regulators in Sri Lanka with no proper benchmarking. So we don't have much, much, I mean, good, strong or strengthened regulatory systems as well as the apartment industry is concerned, right? So therefore, another important area they talk about the low emphasis on the environmental aspects. So when you have the apartments, they are not much considered, right? And then sometimes the taxes, right, impose, there won't be any what you call uh, any base for that, right? There are instances, and again the bribery and things like that also the negative effect. People can do this anything if you give some money, right? So those are some of the issues. So now good things are demand is increasing, right? I will discuss about the pricing, right? And availability of credit lines are increasing, right? And then this issue comes credentials of the developer. So we had a bad experience, right? Now, poor management, poor project management, right? Sometimes have a negative impact on the business, right? Um, uh, that's another important area we need to look at it. And the quality also may need to look at it in a different angle. And another important area, so about this apartment industry is concerned, right? A lot of even I am one time I attended some conference in USA, right? There, then they talk about the Sri Lanka, right? I fortunate to attend some meeting, some conference in USA with regard to money laundering, right? Now they talk. There's a special lecture on the Asian countries, right, about the money laundering. One of the reason they have highlighted there, the lot of money laundering is taking place, right, in Sri Lanka is through business of apartment. No, that's what I also little surprised, but that is how these European people think about Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka, the significant social cost and risk associated with money laundering, um, basically from the apartment industry. So that's what they have given a lot of statistics also, right? They prove a Sri Lankan money laundering uh, basically happening through the apartment industry. So that's the point. We need to look at it in that aspect, right? So these are some of the future of apartment industry. When you look at it, so apartment business in business in the future. So what basically therefore we can recommend, so you must have the revised lending strategy. Now for example, tighten due diligences and credit evaluation, right? So then the sources of equity investment, then mitigate concentrations, it's sustainable. So all we need to look at it when you think about the future of the apartment industry, right? And also updated with latest technology, collaborations and communication, budgeting and cost control, and those are facilitate for project management, development and retention. So those are the things anyone can recommend it if you think about the future of the apartment industry. And also, as I said, now at the moment, there is a lack of high regulatory for this market. So therefore, strengthen the regulatory framework for apartment is need to be looked at it, and there may be a lot of bribery and corruption taking place when you're granting approval, and thus also need to look at it. Uh, and also, those are some of the things, if you're going to look at it, the future of apartment industry is concerned, right? So I think now you may have an idea about the uh, apartment industry in Sri Lanka. But let me look at it now, the latest figures in the condominium business in Sri Lanka. And of course, as I explained to you, there has been a significant increase in sales construction despite this COVID-19. But I told you why it has gone up, due to low credit available, and other one is prices are going up, and they look at the alternative. So usually alternative is the condominium. So therefore it's usually at the moment is there is a high demand also. Supply is more than demand, right? So therefore central bank revealed, citing recent survey, prevailing low interest environment. That's the reason I told you, increase the supply of comparatively affordable condominium projects beyond the city limits of Colombo have led to increased number of transactions during the period. Now there are some Colombo, sub-Colombo areas in Kahatu and that area also, the new projects is going up, and that may be the one of the reason. Therefore, it's the cost factor, it be reasonable. So what is the rate? The single condominium projects category usually is below 25,000 million. So 25 million, and at the present stage, the things for okay, right? And also, if you really look at it from figures from Q2 in 2021, and so 99% of completed condominium projects so have been sold. So that means, so there is a demand, but despite the fact of oversupply, right? So there may be a lot of ongoing condominium projects there, and out of 58%, 56 cents units have been reserved in a single condominium project. That's also important things, right? So the majority of condominium buyers were Sri Lankan residents, right? Sri Lankan buy a lot of all these condominium, and there are some occasions, there are some dual citizens also involving in foreigners, right? So the early expected, why we Sri Lanka, these developers when enter into the massive condominium projects, they thought in our port city, once a port city is fully developed, and there may be a lot of people come to Sri Lanka, and they are going to stay in Sri Lanka or maybe short time. So therefore, there is an opportunity available for developers to, sell those things to these things to the people. Rather than they are staying in a hotel, they may have an apartment, and there's an opportunity to sell these things, right? So that may be the reasons why we went on high manufacturing or high construction of condominium. So expecting challenges or expecting future opportunities with the port city. That's the one reason why people are invest a lot of money in condominium, right? It's because I think you understood what I'm telling. Expecting once the port city develop and a lot of people are coming for business or do something, whatever, and then these people are going to stay in Colombo, not in hotels. They may look the opportunities. They definitely the best opportunity for them to have a condominium. So that is why they expected demand for that. But at the moment is still majority of things are purchased by the local people. Maybe local people will buy and just maybe rent it out to those people. Right. So this that is the basic condominium market is concerned. I think now I basically covered almost all the areas, credit businesses, right? All the areas of the credit opportunities and threats and all these things, right? So today we are also going to look at it some other important thing, and how these impact on ecological factors affect your credit businesses, right? Now, ecological factors, these days we will discuss. A lot of people are talking about the climate change and all these things, and let's look at it like slightly different. Now, what are the things I'm going to tell you? Maybe you may be in the bank, you may recall it maybe another 1 or 2 times in Sri Lanka, right? But I'm going to disclose, right? So the natural environment factors. Now, the economic factors, then the political factors, cultural, social factors, right? Where you can control to some to in your catchment area. That means certain factors. Now, say Sri Lanka, right? We can basically economic factors can be confined only to the Sri Lanka. Political factors only confined to the Sri Lanka because we have a boundaries. The only other element in the pestle where we don't have a boundaries is called the natural environment. So you can't have a boundary between India and Sri Lanka as far as the environment is concerned. That is why everybody is concerned about the climate issues, right? Because there is no boundary. If some person has done the wrong thing in some area, it impacts all the world, right? That is why they are very much concerned about the natural environment, right? So the deteriorating conditions of the natural environment is the major issues facing banks in current years. Right, so we will discuss what is the relationship natural environment the bank is having, right? Okay, the world is is currently an age where growing industrial wastage, right? The industrial waste is high, discharge of fuel, emissions of fumes and acid rains, and also which have to be taken seriously of the manufacturers, right? And also somebody can argue this pandemic, whether it's an environmental issue, so where you are going to put it? Sometimes we can say it also has some environmental issue, right? So this, you see the impact on that about the COVID-19, right? So it's maybe a natural issue, right? Okay, so people also come to attention about the importance of natural environment. Earlier, we don't bothered about the natural environment. No. Honestly, Sri Lanka, till such time we had tsunami, we not bothered about, no, right? After tsunami only, we have a little concern. Then we have a drought, right? And unpredicted weather pattern, right? All ultimately give some sort of a attention of people how important the environmental issues, and that will fortified with a lot of greater scientific knowledge. And we have experienced notable disasters in Sri Lanka as well as other countries, and a lot of legislation introduced. People call life well impacted, a lot of media coverages. You can see what is happening in other countries. Now, these are the reason the general public pay attention to natural environmentals, right? So therefore, environmental risks have become one of the important factors impacting the daily operations of commercial bank also. Right, our banks, we need to look at it. So these all the commercial banks should incorporate, therefore, sort of an environmental test into their bank credit risk rating systems and processes. I will going to touch all these things little later on in the present situation, how the stress testing and blah blah and need to be incorporated to your risk management process, right? Okay, so having understood that very basic understanding about the environmental issues, and today is a very high relationship between climate change and the credit. Now, as a consequence of population growth, now environmental degradation, climate change, power and inequality, now people have looked at it, uh, the sustainable financial practice, right? So, and banks also understood sustainable finance practices are fast becoming the future of future in banking, right? Sustainable financial practices. Now, for you to get an idea about what is sustainable, now a lot of people are talking these days about the sustainability, and blah blah. So you get an understanding about the sustainability, right? Now, the United Nations also recognize the importance of sustainable development and introduce the Sustainable Development Goals, that is SDGs. Now, even though we don't know, we also bound by the as a country, right, as a country to United Nations. So, being the member of the United Nations, so as a country, so we need to provide the reports. What sort of reports? Our status reports as a country. Every year we need to give to the these United Nations our status. That means what action we have taken to protect this environment. We need to provide. So based on that only, they may grant certain loans to country, some aids or whatever, right? So therefore, it is not only important for banks, as for the country also it is important, because as a country, we all agree to contribute to achievements of sustainable development goals, right? To address basically the above issues. One issue is environmental issues, right? So, and all countries to protect the or promote the prosperity while protecting the planet, right? Okay, I think you may have an idea. So now the challenge to find sustainable development path, uh, meet the needs of present generations without compromising the well-being of the future generation is not new. So that means basically, now what is sustainable development mean? So while we are enjoying our resources, and it is our duty to keep those resources for the future generation. So that is sustainable development path, right? I think most of you are bankers. Of course, bankers had a lot of banks well aware about that when they preparing their annual reports, and the Chartered Institute of Accountants, they look at it when they are evaluating your annual reports. They look at it, the banks, what initiative they have taken, the bank, respective bank, they have taken for adhere to the sustainable development goals, right? So therefore, some of the banks may use these sustainable development goals as one of their strategies. Mind you, I will explain those things later, right? So therefore, now you know what is sustainable development. So while you are enjoying the present resources available in the planet, world, and it is our duty to keep all these things for future generation as well, right? So therefore, they may look at it various areas, right, in sustainability. And in 2015, United Nations agree with all the member countries agreements in 2030. So the goals of the sustainable goal for the planet, right? So, and with along with this, in 2015, so there's another meeting took place in Paris, and also with the participation of around 190 odd countries, and they also recognize. So all the countries need to be take into account the emissions of carbon dioxide to the environment, right? So how these emissions of carbon dioxide emissions to the credit business, we will discuss later on. But before that, we try to understand what is this basic concept, right? Okay. Now, so they said the triple, we call them as a triple bottom line. So we look at the sustainability, not only the profits, not only the performances, and we need to look at it from the economic aspects as well as the environmental aspects, as well as the performance, social performance as well. Just for some food for thought. Now, as I told you earlier, now the United Nations, they come up with some sustainable development goals for the world, right? So they have identified 17 sustainable goals, right? In terms of poverty, in terms of pollution, coastal, right, environments. There are 17 development goals was identified and developed in United Nations. So that is what Sri Lanka also want to send. Status refers to the UNEP, what actions they have taken to achievements of this world recognized sustainable goals. Okay, right. Now banks also contributing to a lot, and now one thing is energy use, reusable of energy. Now that's what people are talking about, green banking and blah blah. So that is, we are indirectly supporting sustainable development, right? Now within that framework, so let me now try to explain what is this what is this sustainable financing, right? Sustainable financing, and can be broadly defined as is a financial services integrating environmental, social, and governance criteria into the decision-making process and business activities of a firm, basically aiming to long-lasting benefit for the firms and clients in society at large. So, sustainable finance. So therefore, when you take some decisions about some credit or whatever, and we need to look at it, the how it impact the environmental and the social and governance, the three things. I think you may going to learn about the governance in the future lecture. The corporate governance, And there are a lot of things. They talk about the corporate governance. They talk about the corporate governance in terms of the duties and responsibilities of board of directors and compositions of board of directors and the fit and proper of company board of directors. Then they talk about the role of a CEO and the chairman, and they talk about the delegations of activities to the management, and they talk about basically the disclosures. Whatever you do, you need to disclose. Then they talk about the board subcommittees, right? And these are some of the things you may going to look at it under governance, right? So if a good organization, while you are maintaining those things, and also you need to look at the environmental factors as well as social factors, right? So, but still, there's no single agreed global definitions of constitutes the sustainable finance, and this is a broad definitions. I can tell you these are the factors when it comes for the ESG factors, right? So you look at the environment, we look at the climatic factors, biodiversity, greenhouse gas emission, water consumption, pollution, waste management, use of renewable energy, right? There we look at it how bank can contribute to this. Then if you look at the social factors, inequality, right? Human rights, labor relations, community impact, supplier relationship, working conditions, diversity, and health and safety. These are comes under the social aspect. Now, say for an example, if you take people to the organization, you must have the diversity organization. Diversity means you may have a different type of people, different ethnic people, different age group, different uh, colors, and all you need to take into account, right? Then the governance, as I explained to you, all these things. So therefore, remember the sustainable finance is comes may look at it in these aspects. That is, usually we call them as ESG aspects. When you completed our lecture, you may have an idea about how these aspects is important for a bank, right? So let me now uh, explain about the sustainable finance. Just give me a minute, yeah? And the lecture hadis ada. Aman දාන්න. මං ගෙදර ගිහිල්ලා දාන්නම්, huh? I will just put it. Okay, right. Thanks. Right. Right. Now, what is sustainable finance important? So we talk about the sustainable finance, and uh, let me um, let me explain about the sustainable finance in little bit of that, why it is important, right? Sustainable finance basically, right? As I explained to you, now the planet is common to everybody. Where you live in, there you can't have a boundaries. Tapavadin the you can have a boundaries controlling these climatic issues. If somebody has done a bad thing, it's impacted the entire world. But and if you look at it in a broader sense, sustainable finance, of course, improve economy efficiency and prosperity, right? Then economic competitiveness in the long run while contributing to protecting ecological system, right? So moment you protect our ecological system, and we can improve our social well-being and cultural diversity. And also, sustainable finance promotes sustainable financing at each stage of the entire supply chain in the priority economic sectors. Now, a sustainable finance also encourage innovations and deploying environmental friendly products, right, to improve the quality and provisions of access to information. So, those are some of the importance of, if you put it in nutshell, sustainable finance. why we need to consider sustainable finance. Now, if you look at it, the sustainable finance, right? It's an sustainable finance, of course, is not a new thing. There is a history for that. Now, in the 15th century, banks and financing start, right? So, even though we have not considered those things, in 15th century when the banks and financial sector start, and they usually follow strict ethical guidelines, right? And all the institutions, whoever who lend, had and socially responsible, right? So therefore, lending for luxury expenditure, right? Set a cap on interest rate. There are um, some uh, some discipline took place at the start of the banking and financing, right? During the 16th, 17th, right? So we'll take from 15th onward, 15th century onward. If you look at it from 15th, the 16th and the 17th century, now banks, because of the industrial revolution took place during that period, so banks moved to international market. So Rice Bank moved to the international market, and uh, they look for a more profits, and there's a trade gap created in the domestic market because now earlier what happened, those banks like credit unions, of course, in other countries, and the cooperative banks are basically initiated to look after the individual need and requirements, financial requirement in that particular country. Now, the particular country, the credit requirements will look after by the those countries' small institutions like credit union, right, and the cooperative banks. That is why still we have those banks, right? So those are basically uh, is catering to the local development, right? But when the development of the banks and they move into the international, and then they move from traditional banking to multinational bank, right? So during that was took place in 1617. Now till 1960s, right? So there is an unchallenging success at the bank, and banks went on honeymoon periods, if you put it like that. Because if you go in international, banks enjoy. Um, we just give loans and they are not bothered about what is happening, what purpose they are using, right? So they invested money. So therefore, some of the money used by those people, they are not may tend to do activity which is damaging the environment, right? Now, from where they get the money? They get the money from the banks. So banks just haphazardly giving loans, and without look at it what they use it. And these people who are using this money and maybe sometimes not use in a proper way, that will creating sort of a damage, right? So in that is happened in 1960s. Then the 1980s, right? Then there is some, especially, uh, there are some international bodies, right? Um, they pay attention. Okay, now you can't do things like that. There may be some sort of a regulation need to be implemented for sustainable financing, right? So in 1987, right, I'm just telling you the history how these sustainable financing evolved, right? In 1987, UN, there's a report called Brunted Land about the sustainable development. So they said, okay, banks and financial institutions, when they grant loan, they need to look at it the social environmental factors, right? And then in after 1987, in 2005, there's a legal framework developed by international bodies, and with regard to uh, uh, a sustainable financing, right? This is how the sustainable financing evolve as at today. Now we have a lot of initiative actions taken by respective bodies, uh, right? When you are granting loan, or especially when you're financing, so you need to take into account certain of, aspects, right? So that is how the sustainable financing move into the green financing. Right now, what is green financing is the, it's not a new thing, but it is also a component of sustainable financing, and it's generally referring to channeling financial flows towards the meeting the challenges of climate change and the transitions into the low carbon economy. Right, so people talk about these days about the low carbon economy, carbon taxes and things like that. So because of having understood the your banking business for sustainable finance, right? So Organization for Economic Cooperations and Develop, that's the international body, defined lot of areas and define green finance as a finance for achieving economic growth while reducing pollution and greenhouse gases emissions, minimizing the waste and improving the efficiency in the use of natural resources. Right. So that is how the OECD define the green finance. So therefore, the green finance is any structured financial activity that's been created to ensure a better environmental outcome, right? So I think now you may have an idea about how the green financing is coming to the scene. It is not a new thing, it is an evolution thing. Why certain institutions are interfering about the green financing, right? I hope you haven't understood now how is green financing just evolved as at today, right? Now, if we are to transitions to a sustainable global economy, we need to scale up this financing of investment so that provide environmental benefits, and that we can consider as a green finance. So therefore, various financial institutions and international initiatives, standard setters, and certain regulatory bodies have developed. So if your organization, or if your bank, or if your country look and what are the how you address this green financing, right? Okay, so I just give you a very brief introductions to the green finance at the moment. Okay, okay. Anything you want to add? You understood what is green financing is all about, right? Okay, I didn't have a chat with you all, no, Anjana. Okay, you understood what is sustainability and what is sustainable development, and how it evolved for green sustainable financing, and now is how it's come to the green financing. Okay, Anjana Terunada.
Also there, yes.
Right. Okay, then Chamitka, I
Oh,
just
sir.
randomly. Right.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, I just want to ask from you all, have you ever learned about this green financing, green bonds? What are the factors? How do you identify a green bond? Right? Those are the things is going to be not immediately. Those are the things maybe going to take into account it very seriously in the very future, right? That's what I want to just to address this. But I don't think so you may have any other lecture you learn about the green finance. Not yet, no? Chatrika, how about you? Chatrika,
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes.
right? Oh, and what I'm asking, Puta, whether you have learned something about the green financing and
No, no,
not yet, no? Right,
no,
okay. So
not.
okay, right. So let me now start from the more little updated version. Now, with this background, with this backdrop, have you heard about COP26? Now these days, a lot of people are talking about the COP. Huh? Have you heard about COP? Every day you have a big papers. No, our president also went there. No, huh? ඒක දන්නවද? එයා ගියා කියලා. Talk at the ලාවනේ. නේද? So he has gone to for attend the COP, right? Right? Okay. So we that meeting is the 26th. That's the 26th version. Took place in where? කොයිද මේක දැන් තියෙන්නේ? Now the meeting is going on. A lot of all these 190 world leaders are meeting and discussing how to fight with climate change. So what is the role of the finance companies? I will come, right? So now they are fighting about the climate change, right? So then we finally, it's basically linked to the finance. How we'll support this climate change issue, right? Now, COP26 at presently is taking place in the Glasgow, Scotland. They are discussing about there's an agreement with all the 190 odd leaders of the world to tackle the climate change, right? How to tackle this climate change, because climate change had a very bad impact about everybody. Now there will be discussions around the wide range of key issues at that meeting, and main thing is net zero carbon emissions. So that means it's very difficult to do, but try to introduce in 2050 maybe net carbon emissions. Accordingly, certain countries need to be develop their own plan, right? All strategies, how we are going to support this. Then of course, financial institutions come into the play, right? Emission to clean energy, green financing, and sustainable development. So that's the area. So why they want to do that? Because you noted that if you really look at it, and they have identified what this Paris Agreement. So before, right now, this is this year we are having at Glasgow, right? But drastic decisions took in 2000, the last one, and which was took place in 2015. That is what you call the Paris Agreement, right? You need to know a little bit of this, right? Now that is COP21. Now COP21 means that's the 21st time. Now in 2015, that is COP21. In today, COP26. Okay, something went wrong, no? Can you hear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But slide is not there. No?
Not moving. It's not moving.
Yeah, there's some stuck. Just give me a minute. I don't know what happened. I just called the 1 minute. Just give me a minute. I just called. මේනක එක පාට මේක නැති වුණානේ කල මේක ඇහෙනවලු පොඩක් ඉන්නකෝ. Right, till such time I will explain to you. Can you hear now? Hello? You can hear?
Yes, sir. Yes,
right.
Sir.
Okay, so till such time these people are come and do the needful. Now we had the in 2015 we had the COP21. So that means so that's a very famous Paris Agreement. I know. ඇහෙනවලු
අනේ හරි මම කැමරාවෙන් නෙමෙයි මේක කරන්න
Usonic. All right. Now, okay. Okay, Puta. Now, can you see the... Hello? Hello? Hello?
Sir,
Can you
yes, sir.
hear? Now, can you see the slides also?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, right. What happened when our roots are right, it's a small technical error, right? Okay, so we'll continue from there. In 2015, what we call COP21 took a good drastic decision. So there are 191 countries, the heads were joined, and that's agreement we call Paris Agreement, right? So Paris Agreement, and they came up with a lot of initiative action. Now reduces the amount of greenhouse gases, produce and increasing renewable type of energy, right? Renewable type of energy such as wind, solar, and wave power. Now in Sri Lanka, so banks also went into that, right? Central bank also had what you call the sustainable development plan. So central bank sent all the banks directives, right, with regard to based on this Paris agreement. We banks got informations about, so looking after the energy. So that is why a lot of banks are moving to the green banking. Some banks have some branches purely on green, and then we going for solar power, right? So we have the solar power for our branches, right? So renewable energy. Then mind you, the bankers are heavy users of power, electric power, right? No, how much of computers are working in the bank, right? How much of energy we consume. So therefore, it's our duty also to look in after the natural environment, right? And then we initiated, with the support of the bank, we initiated a lot of solar loans, right? Even for banks, some banks of you all, you may grant loans to the solar companies for customers in against your credit card, right? You block the credit card, you may allocate, and the customers can pay easy installment. If you really work hard, so it is benefit to customer. If you're highly consumption person, right? If you take a solar loan from a bank, right? You can mitigate the bill, the electricity bill. But the issue now, what a lot of organizations are facing as at today, right? Since we are going for a solar, I personally well aware on this. Now, a lot of solar companies, what's the problem they are facing? They are facing two things. One is they don't have a panels because due to this import restriction. Second one, electricity boards and the Lanka electricity, what is the other one? The Sri Lankan electricity board and the company, right? So they don't, what is that company?
Leco.
Leco, right? So they have an issue. They said they can't absorb the power given by those houses to store it. What the hell, no? See how our systems how is not geared enough. Now what they are issuing is telling now. Therefore, they are not given now permissions to convert your normal national grid to solar power. Right? There's a limitation now. Right now, this is how much of money we can save. Puta. Now, say we are using run the electronic petrol, the gas and other things for manufacturing of electricity, right? So, imagine, so the whatever the houses, what they generate, that is what you call export, right? So those things need to be stored in to be used in the night, no, by the electricity board. So what they are telling is now they don't have a power, they don't have a storing capacity, what they will generate during the daytime. I mean, it's a very strategic issue in that case, right? So we look at it now. We are going for the we are going for this Paris. We are going for this Paris agreement, but you see the issues what we are facing, right? Okay, so then coming back to this, now keep the global temperature increase well below 2 degrees, and so these Paris agreements they took to bring to 1.5 degree, right? So that is collectively they are spending around 100 US dollars billion a year to climate finance, right? So that means so you can get a loans, right? That is the important area. So you can obtain loans, right, from the bodies, that's the UNDP, around $100 billion for climate financing. People who want to give loans, you can borrow at a very low cost, right? That's the important things of this, right? Okay, so what is now, this is Paris 2015 decision. Now this year what they are going to cover, secure global net zero emissions, that's supporting, and they said okay, mid-century in between they are going to reduce from 2 to 1.5, right? Okay, so that's the decision. So therefore, these leading people in the world, there are 190 countries heads are there. They said they may support this endeavor. Now, how they can support? They may initiated granting loans of people who we converted to their activities by remitting the carbon emissions, and will support people to go for new energy development activities, right? Okay, now that is what you call the green finance. Now, developed countries need to make a good on their promise to mobilize at least 100 million in climate finance money per year to raise the necessary funds required. Right. I think now you have understand a little bit of link how the sustainable finance and green financing is important for us, because through the banks you can sometimes you can distribute it to among the needy people. Right. Now, just another interesting area as far as this, right? So now for that, there are a lot of organizations are issuing what you call green bonds, right? So, okay. Now, before I talk about the green bond, I think I may explain little bit of market of green bonds. Then I'll come back again, right? It is in your handout, right? Okay. So if you look at it, the green bonds market, if you look at it, the first green bond, I will explain what is green bond is detail. Now, if you look at the market for green bonds in the world, right? Now, if you look at it in the green bonds, first green bond, I will explain what is green bond, right? Was introduced in 2007-2008 by the World Bank. They introduced a world. So what is the total bond market you think? Huh? How much you think the world total bond market, not green? So what is the total bond market in the world, right? It is estimated that it's around 130 trillion, right? Different type of bonds are available in the market. They are selling. Is the value of the total bond market in the world is around, as at today, is something called 130 trillion rupees, right? Financial institutions, governments, right? Like our sovereign bond, we show sovereign bond, no, like that, right? In the world market. So there are some different type of bonds issued the worth of around 130 trillion. Now, if you look at the percentage of green bonds issued now, it's around 1.3, 1.4 trillion. So that means a small amount, right? Okay, you understand that the market. So that is why now they want to, whatever the bond you issue, it should be a green bond, right? So that's what the intention of these issues, right? Is green financing issues, right? Now I think you have an idea about the total bond market and what is the basically green bond market, right? So it's a huge difference. So that's a huge potential people to move, right? Okay. So then having understood this bond market little bit of, so let me now try to explain. These are world established things, right? How you identify, how do you know whether the bonds are green, right? So there is an issue in this. Now recently, HSBC also fined by the regulatory bodies. They issue a green bond, but it is not a green bond per se, because it's ultimately damage the natural environment. Around 400 billion lots they issued, they had a fine, but without disclosing the real facts. They marketed the green bonds, and ultimately it's impacted the natural environment, right? So therefore, investors, whoever who invest this thing, need to be identified what is really a green bond. So therefore, international bodies, that is what you call greenwashing. Remember the word, right? What is greenwashing? Now, greenwashing mean it's a technical word in finance, right? Greenwashing mean making false or misleading claims about the green credential of a company or a financial product, right? So they said this is a green, green wage කියලා හොර bond විකුණනවා. Well, it is not a green bond. Now, then you need to know how do you identify is a green bond? Then now imagine we do a phone business, no it. So we may get caught to lot of that articles, right? Now, how you identify is a gold, right? There are methods of doing. Right now, we are not doing that other methods. So what we put into the densimeter and calculate, and we identify. But there are some of these articles, I think you are well aware, you cannot, if you put into the densimeter, you cannot identify those are that or not. So that's the practical, your experience count, right? You know the certain techniques, and head office also send you. If you get articles like this from these areas and these areas, we have to be careful. Okay, like that you may get a lot of messages from head office, right, with the name, right? So some things are made on transfer, and I mean, this is very difficult task to identify whether it's a real goal. So what we do is we put into the densimeter. We give everything to the densimeter to measure, but it is not the case. Now, you as an experienced guy, you know how to, when you take into a hand, right? You know it is a gold or not. You have an idea, right? And when we learn about this phoning, about how to identify the gold, now today that also can't do that, because if you put into the cement floor, if you just drop into the cement floor, now we have a tiles floor, that also now you can't. If you put into the cement floor, with the sound, you can get a guess whether it is a gold or not. But when you put into the tiles, now you can't get it. And otherwise, what is the other method you can, to see whether it's a pure gold or not? So while you take into your hand, you also an idea. So what is the best method you think? Tell me, will you? Now most of you are involving in some sort of a credit business. What is the best method according to you to identify whether this is pure gold or not? Have anybody can experience? Ganesha?
Yes, by way of touching the and touching by hand
Yeah,
and visually seeing, we can identify the goal. That is the number one easiest
yeah,
way,
good.
right?
Second?
Second thing, as you said, in the cement flow, if we put it, that different tune will come, sound.
Right, exactly. So what we have learned, right? Now these things, I don't know whether these new people are knowing all these things. I think that's one condition. I think have a very experience. I like to share with my students how to buy, even though it's a credit business. End of the day, how to identify is a goal without just putting to the densimeter,
Yes.
right? What is
Easily the
identified?
sound will be different. If it is a pure cold,
Yeah,
that tune will come tongue. If
right.
it is a
Yeah,
what you call artificial or what you call gillette
yeah,
jewelry, that
yeah,
sound will not arise such kind of the pure sound.
yeah. Good. What else? So we need to look at it another way. Now, when you suppose now, I just give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. When you go for another country, when you go to the airport, when the custom officer, so once you issue your passport to the custom officer, what he do? What he does usually? Now, when you go for, say, you want to go abroad, you produce your passport to the custom officer just to put your seal. Now, what custom officers do, right? What custom officer is doing? Officer will look at it, from more, from top to down, right?
Yes,
He will look at it and look at it, look at it. What?
yeah,
Why they look at it?
because just he want to clarify by
Yeah,
weighing, looking our face,
yeah,
whether we are genuine.
yeah,
If we are coming with a forged visa, our
yeah.
eye will be so, right?
Yeah, good. Fantastic. Yeah. So whatever, whatever expert we are in, if you are very guilty conscious, if somebody look at it as we have, because our facial expression, right? So facial expression will change, right? So that why can't we use for our porn article? The person comes, no, somebody has. That is why we need to have an interview. No, when you look at it and with the gold in your hand, if you look at it with that person, right, with a thorough look, and he get upset. So at least you get an idea. I mean, so you don't want to check the gold itself, right? What I am telling you, as Ganesh and correctly pointed out some of the points. I mean, another important thing is that, right? I'm just telling you something identify. Students may be benefited of all these things, but okay, so that's something extra what you want to learn, right? Now most of you are in the pawning business, and if you are in the directly involving in the pawning credit business, so therefore you may have some ideas. I mean, you may be learned, but some of the things, if you are not known, and we can share it, right? That is what Ganeshan has put a very good justify what I said. The sounds, how you identify the sounds. Okay, so before that, and you may look at it, your customer, so that also you can get an idea. That is why we have an interview, right? Okay, so coming back, similar way, how you identify the in that case, how you identify the it's a bond. Now greenwashing is like a dud article, right? Greenwashing, making false or misleading claims about the green credential of a company or a financial product, and you're trying to sell this product, right? So regulators and the industry itself are working hard to address this issue. But there are instances, I can quote this one example because it is on the newspapers, because they show this is a green bond, but it's not the green bond, right? So that phenomena is called greenwashing, right? So therefore, we need to understand what is green bond, right? So there are a lot of international bodies that issue a green bond principle. We call GBP, right? GBP. So let's look at it on that green bond definition. They said, what is green bond? So green bonds are any type of bond instrument where the proceeds of an equivalent amount will be exclusively applied to finance or refinance in part of existing eligible green projects, which are aligned with the four components of green bond principle. So let's now look at it. What are those green bond principles, right? Green bond principles. So the first one, so the green bond principles is a voluntary process guideline that recommend the transparency and disclosure and promote the integrity of the developments of the green bond market, right? Okay, first it consists of four steps, four components, right? Green bond principle we call, right? Green bond principles, like corporate governance principles, right? Right. Likewise, the green bond principles. So there are four components. One is use of proceeds, process for project evaluations and selection, management of proceeds, and reporting. Let's look at it very briefly, one by one, right? So what is use of proceeds? Now the cornerstone of a green bond is the utilizations of proceeds of the bond for eligible green projects. So the money you may use for that particular purpose. That's the principle of credit also, no? Right? Purpose, right? You may use for that particular purpose. So how you know whether you are using that particular purpose? Now, suppose if you are using, we are giving a housing loan, right? So we need to find it out whether this money is utilizing for the housing purposes. Right now, today, what happened? A lot of people purchase a personal loan rather than, but their main intention to build a house, but they take, instead of housing loan, they maybe little higher interest rate, they go for personal loan. Why is that? Because you don't want to mortgage your property, and you may use already mortgage your property. Due to various reasons, people take personal loans to build a construct to partly for repairs or whatever.
What about less
Right.
documents also there, no?
Yeah,
Personal loan,
yeah,
there are less documents. If we go for
Yeah.
a mortgage,
yeah, correct.
there are a number of documents.
Yeah, correct. That's also correct, right? So for when you're going to take a housing loan, but if you grant a personal loan, we don't come behind you and ask you where are you using and blah blah. But for when you're granting a housing loan, so usually you visit the place, you not disburse the entire amount at once. You're giving stage by stage, and you may look at it. These your VOQs and all, they look at it, right? So likewise, the bond is utilization for the proceeds of the bond for eligible for green project, right? So it should be appropriately described in the legal documentations of the security, right? That's the important thing. So this now, so you need to see whether all your projects are legally documented in the security, right? So all designations eligible green projects should be provide clear environmental benefits, which will be assessed and where feasible qualified by the issuer, right? You have to give undertaking. Okay, this money we are using for this project, which never damage in whatsoever for environment, right? It has to be signed, right? Okay, that is use of proceeds. The green bond principle therefore strictly recognize several broad categories of eligibility of green projects which contribute to environmental objective, that might climate mitigations, maybe climate change adaptation, natural resource conservation, biodiversity conservation, pollution preventions and control. So you may use it, your green bonds, collect money for these activities, right? Okay, so you need to understand that. These are some of the categories they have highlighted. You can issue the green bonds for renewable energy, so energy efficiency, pollution prevention, environmental, blah blah. So they have listed all the areas where you can consider issuing a bond don't maybe utilize, the process need to be these areas. Okay, right. Then if you look at the process for project evaluations and selection, right? Now, just because of if you mention, this is not enough. So you need to look at it, the project evaluations and selection. Now, issuer of a green bond should be clearly communicate to investors, people who are going to buy your bonds, environment sustainability objectives of the green project. Now, you see, it's not so easy. Now, that is why a lot of people are little bit reluctant to go for green bonds. I will explain why there may be issues on that, right? The process by which the issuer determines how the projects fit within the eligible green projects categories, right? And which I identified earlier, we give a list of things. No? Then the complementary information, issue identify and manage perceived social and environmental risks associated with the relevant projects. So that means your projects must be a very comprehensive, and it should be evaluate, right? The process for project evaluation and selection, right? You need to do a lot of detail about that. That's the second. The third one is management of proceeds. Now, the net proceeds of the green bond or an amount equal to these net proceeds should be credited to sub account. Now, that is what they said. Okay, you don't put it to the one, you will have a separate account. It's like when you have the certain interest, we learn about under credit. We discuss you want to put it under separate interest account, no? Right, like that you may have to have a separate sub account, right? And move to a sub portfolio, otherwise tracked by the issuer in appropriate manner. So you need to track that particular proceeding in a separate account and manage, right? The fourth one is the reporting. Now, reporting issuers should make and keep readily available up-to-date information on the use of process, right, to renew annually until the allocation is fully completed, right? Or maybe case of material developers or whatever, right? You must have a reporting procedure till such time the entire process is completed or allocated, right? So brief descriptions of the projects, amount collectors and expected impact, blah, blah. So you need to report. So where confidentiality agreements comes, the competitive considerations, large number of underlying projects limit the amount of detail that can be made available. No? So if you're going for some confidentially information projects, you cannot disclose all the things. But therefore, at least they said at least you need to maintain certain percentage wise in a different accepted way of reporting, right? Okay, so that is the proceeding. These are the steps you need to follow if you really issue a green bond, right? Now, why I'm explaining these things, in the future, if you're going to look at it, the evaluations of the risk management of bonds issued, right? And auditors or maybe the risk officers need to look at it whether they have followed these things in your organization, right? That is what these things are important. We will discuss the challenges faced by the banks and the role of a risk officer in that aspect little later on, right? Okay, so then according to them, and they have identified different type of green bonds, but don't worry much on this different type of green bonds. They said there are 4 types. One, a standard green use proceeds bond. Then you may have a green revenue bond. So just go through, is not so important, but there are different type of green bonds and the green securities bond. Okay, right. So then if I ask from you now, have you heard about the blue bond, right? Have you heard about the blue bond? And anyone heard about the blue bond? Have anybody heard about the blue bonds? No? Can anyone tell me what is blue bond? Like green bond? Have you heard about? There are even though it's not much popular in Sri Lanka, but it will come, right? Blue bond. What is blue bond? Huh? What is the difference between green bonds and the blue bonds? No idea. So if you look at blue, what is associated with?
Blue company project. Blue
Come on.
company.
Not clear, Badrika.
Blue company projects වල invest කරනවද sir?
No. These are all environmental puta, right? It's an environmental thing. No, blue kiwama මොකද්ද ඔයාලට පේන්නේ? Now
It's come with the fisheries.
yeah,
And,
something related to the coastal or fisheries, and that's protecting the whatever you issue bonds to issue for the basically for an ocean related ecosystem, right? Those bonds are, we call them as a blue bond, right? So then I'm asking you whether blue bond is a green bond. It's quite simple question. ඒක හරියට අපි O level වල අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත නේද මෙන්න මේක මතකද බලන්න. හැම ප්‍රෝටීනයක්ම එන්සයිමයක් වේ. හැබැයි හැම එන්සයිමයක්ම ප්‍රෝටීනයක් වේ. ඔකට මතකද වන්දන්නේ. ඒ වගේම ඉගෙන ගත්ත අපි හැබැයි හැම ප්‍රෝටීනයක්ම එන්සයිමයක් නොවේ. අහලා මතකද ඔය ඉගෙන ගත්තා. අපි නම් පොඩි කාලේ ඉගෙන ගත්තා පුතා, right? Every enzyme is a protein, but every protein not an enzyme, right? ඒ වගේ, so therefore every blue bond is a green bond, but every green bond is not a blue bond, right? That's something you need to know when we talk about the somebody asked about the green bonds and the blue bond. That's a marker. So I'll explain to you in Sri Lanka what is the in the world, what is the green bond market is something still close to, as I explained to you, around 1 trillion, 1.2 trillion, right? So the total market is the bond market is 1.3 trillion. So if you look at it in that sense, what is the market share represented by the green bond in the world is only 1%, right? So you imagine, right? So in the future, the central bank can issue what? Central bank issue a bond. Now, how they would, rather than issue a sovereign bond, they can issue a green bond. What purpose? They said, okay, we are going to project, we do something, project, come up with multi wind or solar power project instead of other methods. So they can collect money, right? Okay, something like that. New way you need to look at it. New way you need to look at it. Now, I don't know whether you may remember, if I don't know whether I have discussed with you. Now, did I discuss with you about the Elon Musk method of collect funds for his big giga company? I will discuss with this, no? Right. Now, you know the Elon Musk, no? Elon Musk is one of the richest person, and he's the person who manufactured these Tesla cars, right? These electric cars. Now, he want to build a giga factory, right? Big factory which manufacture around 1 lakh or something cars per day or something. I can't remember the figures exactly, but he intention to build a mega giga factory which manufacturing electric cars. So then from where he, if it's an extensions of businesses, no? Now for that he needs capital. Now, how he generate capital? How he generate the capital? So he has an option of issuing shares, right? Or otherwise he issuing a sort of a bond, right? Or maybe debenture or borrow loan, like that. No, that's a traditional options available for a business person. If you want to invest if you want to construct this giga factory. So this is how you need to raise his capital. But instead of all these things, he has done a different approach. So that approach is called the green approach, or what you call the blue approach, or we call sometimes the blue ocean approach, right? So that's other methods is you all collecting from issuing shares and blah blah. No, he didn't want to look at it. He went on a different way, right? How he done it? He put an he's of course a well-known person, respectable person, believe what he said. He said, okay, if he put a notice to the internet. He said, if you want to have a car, if you want to buy a car worth of so much, right? It's an electric car, right? First, you deposit. Now, say the electric, for example, if you say the electric company, electric car worth, say $1,000, for example, you said $1,000 that electric car cost. The selling price. Now he said, okay, I'll give you $800, right? But I will give you a car maybe another 2 years time, right? See how new approach, right? He said 1,000 car, I'll give you 800, but you have to pay now. And he calculated how much of money he needs to construct that gigafactory. And he worked it out, how many cars can you produce during that time accordingly. And he said, so it's an open for, say, 1,000 cars. But you need to send me the money, right? Of course, customers must have a faith on this. He's a good guy, reputed guy. So then he got the money, right? So he's not losing his shares, and he's not need to pay long-term debts, for interest or coupons to the customers, and less headache for operations. They save a lot of money, and they make use of this money. It's a true case, right? You can just referring to any internet and look at it, how he has done it. And he constructed the gigafactory, and mind you, and he in a position to give these cars to all the people who send the money, even within a 1 year period, right? So this is how he basically collect the fund from the people to construct this gigafactory, right? So that's a new way. I'm just telling you how they look at it, funds, right? So he's not going for a credits. See, look at it, a new way of funding is required capital, right? Okay. So that's something you need to know. You need to look at it, everything in a different angle, right? Okay. Right. Now, going back again to this, right? Now we look at it. So the bank imperatives, right? Bank imperative about, now that's a challenging task. When you, of course, you know, these usually the green bonds is a fixed income instrument, usually fixed income security, and you have an idea about what is green bond and how you identify the green bonds according to the well-established standard prevailed by the international bodies, right? And why it is important and things like that. Okay, now it comes to discuss another important area where now it's come to bank imperatives for managing climatic risk, right? What is our role? Now, more than a regulatory pressure is driving banks to manage climate risk. So up to now, we learn about liquidity risk, we discuss about the credit risk, we discuss about the operational risk, we may discuss about the systemic risk, we discuss about the concentration risk, we learn about the business risk, we learn about the reputation risk. So these are the risks we talk now. Now there's a new thing is coming up in the future, maybe the climate risk. right? So financing a green agenda is also a commercial imperative, but specialized skills are needed to protect balance sheets, right? Now the regulatory agenda initiatives are basically requires banks to manage the climate risk and gathered pace over the recent period. Now I will show you some uh, some data here, right? In the opportunities as well as challenges, right? Now financing a green agenda and challenging protecting balance sheet from uncertainty, right? So they say around 500 billion in annual adaptation cost, and for transformations of energy productions towards renewables, then planet replenishment to avoid capture and store carbon emissions. So these are the opportunities available for banks, right? If you grant loans and issuing green bonds, right? And also you need to look at what are the challenges, right? These challenges, and they said around, according to the European Bank Union, and it is impacted around 15% of the balance sheet if you are going for these type of business, right? If you not manage your risk properly, these are the estimated loss. Okay, now let's look at it. What are these regulatory and commercial pressures are increasing, as I explained to you, because we have international bodies. That is how now I'll tell you a good example. Right. Now think about Basel III. Sri Lanka, whatever. We don't have a financial crisis took place in 2007-8, no. Right? But something happened in somewhere. They introduced the Basel III to the banking industry in Sri Lanka, in the world. Therefore, we compelled to adhere to that. Clear? Then some people visit. Why we worried about this? If we are not heard, we don't know. Same thing happened in the Basel III. As a result of whatever, we have to have a separate two ratios to be maintained. That is the liquid coverage ratio and net stable funding ratio. So these are the new things. New things we apply. And in our another important thing, I'll tell you. Right now, when you open an LF account, so there's some column we put. No, what is the column we put? Are you a American citizen? No, neither. Have you had any sort of a connection with America? No, neither. Account open whatever. There's a word, no. The lead. When you account
compliance.
Yeah, ඒක compliance හරි කොහොමරි දානවනේ නේ. We are putting incorporating no. දානව නේද? Accounts opening එකේ දානවනේ form එකේ තියනව නේද?
Yes.
Are you right? Why we put මොන මොකද ඇමරිකාව අපිට මොකටද? Now, don't you ever think what is the purpose? I mean, මොන මොකලද මේ ඇමරිකාවේ පුරවැසියෙක්ද කියලා? එන අහන්න බෑ එංගලන්තේ පුරවැසියෙක්ද කියලා. Why is that we put? What is the reason? That is what, whether you like it or not, sometimes we have to do certain things because others are some pressure, some legal requirement. So likewise, what I just mentioned, because one day, so we also need to look at it, all these things, right? So therefore, remember, now the banking regulators basically in the world now formalizing new rules for climate risk management, right? They also now come up with something. So when you are reporting, when you have the risk management framework, so you need to embed this climate risk management. Some banks are already, in fact, I know, incorporated. but then it's come the compulsory in the one day. Now, intend to roll out a demanding stress test in the months ahead. Definitely, they are going to have a stress test also, right? So many investors responding to their clients' shifting attitudes already consider environmental sustainability and governance factors in their investment decisions and are channeling funds to green companies, right? That's what they may look at it, right? Now, the commercial imperatives for better climate risk management, or as I explained to you, is increasing in today's context, right? So therefore, the competitive environment in which the banks are often judged on their green credentials, it makes sense to develop sustainable finance offering and to incorporate climate factors into capital allocations, loan approvals, portfolio monitoring and reporting. Now, I am not exactly sure anybody can contribute to me if I am wrong, or maybe any just suggestions. Now, we discuss about the credit rating. No, we very briefly touch about the credit rating. Now, we discuss not in detail. I don't know whether you may discuss in some other subject. When you are evaluating your credits for country, or maybe especially for country, for instrument even, right? Take a sample for organization. What they look at it, they not only look at the financial, they look at it various factors, no, right? They not only look at it your balance sheet, they not look at it your accounts, right? They may look at it your governance, and they may look at it your management, and a lot of areas they are going to not look. They are usually look at it before you are granting certain credit rating, right? So I think you may agree there is a way of there is a methodology of financial risk assessment. There are ways of analyzing your credit when you're granting a credit management, everything. So one day when you're going to grant your credit rating, one factor they may definitely going to look at it, may more very strongly they may look at it, whether your credit risk your climate risk management, right? Your green credential, they may look at it as a whole. To what extent your bank is green oriented, for example. How many of your branches are use the solar power, or how many of you are using the recycling communications, and how many what sort of initiative you have taken for lean management, right? Right, what is your contribution to the lean management? You know what you mean by the lean management, right? And those are the areas maybe look at it under climate risk management, because those things are impacted your businesses when your evaluation, right? So you need to look at it, all these things, right? So some banks have already made some significant strategic decisions, ramping up the sustainable finance, offering discounts for green lending, mobilizing new capital for environmental initiatives. Some banks have already taken, and I saw recently one particular bank in Sri Lanka. I can't mention the name. I don't mind even mentioning, but they took a loan from another reputed institution. You can make use of that fund as a credit line, right? As a credit line, you can make use of this fund only for when you can grant loans, but those loans are only for climate related loans, right? Okay, so I think it's not big amount, but මට මතක විදියට නම් Pan Asia, right? They got some credit line from another organization that at a very concessional rate, but that money can be used, or can you grant, or loan can be grant only for climatic related or business purposes, right? So there is an opportunity in the future, right? There may be a lot of credit lines and funds can come for bank to promote this area. So therefore, when you are granting such things, what they're asking from you, they are not just give it, no, they will look at it, and before you grant a loan to that level, they ask, okay, what are the steps you have taken in your risk management process with respect to climate risk management? How you do the monitoring, right? How you evaluate. So all things they will look at it. Therefore, your organization, before you grant these, before you ask for any credit line or any credit fund, you must have your internal, right? You must have your internal system geared to that, right? So that is why we need to know a little bit of all these things, right? Now, according to the very reason, even this not be even 10 days, right? And this article, this process is not even for 10 days old, right? Very latest one that was issued by McKinsey with after the discussion with this CEO 26, they have identified 5 principles for climate risk management, right? So one, there, what are the 5 areas? One areas we call the formulate climate risk governance. I will explain these 5. The second one, tailor business and credit strategy, align risk processors, get up to speed on stress testing, focus on enablers, right? These are the 5 principles. May now look at it for your climate risk management. So you may have something similar to that for your operational risk, credit risk, and blah blah. No, so likewise, these are the new thing. The climate risk management. These are the 5 principles, right? So let me now. What may be the time now? 3:30. Okay, we'll have a break. 3:20, or we'll have a break, or then we finish this and have a break. What do you think? Right? May take ඉවර කරලා finish break එකක් ගන්නවද නැත්නම්? Tell me anything. I'm okay. What do you think? Hemamali, you like to have a break or we'll continue?
Better to get a break now, sir.
I
Better
can
to get a break.
take a break. Oh, yo.
Yes.
Chandima, what do you think? We'll have a break or we'll continue? දැන් හේමමාලි කිව්ව හින්දා ඔයා කියන්න යන්න එපා හොඳේ ඔයාගේ candid opinion එක කියන්න.
I think we'll finish this and take a break.
Good. So we'll have another option, right? Okay. I don't want to ask from Ganeshan. Ganeshan may be buyer's customer, right? Okay. Jalinda, Vagisha. Is a boy or a girl? Vagisha. Jalinda, what do you think? Kanchana, you have a break. ඉක්පට කියන්න. නැත්නම් අපරාධි කාලය යනවා. Okay. Now 1 ඉන්නේ කෙනෙක් කියලා දේ තමයි අහන්නේ. තව කවුරු හරි කෙනෙක් කියලා දේ. Kavindra? We'll continue.
So continue and take a break.
Jalinda has already communicated. He said continue. Okay, we'll continue, right? Okay, we'll continue and then we'll have a break, right? Okay. I'm very, what do you think? I'm very, what do you call, very custom oriented, if you put it like that. Okay, let's look at it. What is this form climate risk governance, right? Okay, now the risk governance, and of course, it will be an crucial importance for top management to set the tone of the climate risk governance. Now, I think if you learn compliances, right? If you learn about the risk in our, even for banking exam, one of the famous question is what, right? Any compliance or any risk, it has to come from the, right, from the top. So top management need to be take care on this. Likewise, here also, it is a crucial importance for top management to set the tone on climate risk governance. ඒකදී අපි හැම climate අපි corporate governance ඉගෙන ගත්තත් එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි compliance ඉගෙන ගත්තා, risk management ඉගෙන ගත්තත් අපි කියන එකක් තමයි it has to be torn from the top කියන එක නේද? ඒ වගේ තමයි මේකට. So you important for top management to set the tone of climate risk governance, right? So bank should nominate. Now what their suggestion, bank should nominate a leader, the responsible for climate risk, right? But some organizations, some are telling you must have a separate person to as to leader of monitoring and responsibility for the climate risk. But as normal, who is responsible for risk activities in your bank is the CRO. So therefore, you can allocate the same job to chief risk officer. So only thing is, she may be, or he or she may be a preferred candidate because he is involving in risk. Only thing is, now he or she has a separate job in addition to looking after the other risks. Now they have another additional role to play, and he need to calculate the climatic risk also, right? Okay, so to ensure that the board can keep an eye on exposures and respond swiftly, and the bank should institute comprehensive internal reporting workflows. So whatever even, so what I'm telling, some of the things you well aware. Now, in order to have a better risk management system in your organization, who is going to develop this risk management framework? Whether it's a board of directors or maybe your senior management. Now we learn these things, the risk officer's job. Now one of the area he has to look at it with the support of your senior management, and the risk officer need to be develop the risk framework. So likewise, the risk officer in here also so need to ensure that and he need to establish a sort of a internal reporting workflow or some sort of a framework and how climate risk going to be monitored. For that, he must have a knowledge about this, right? He must have a knowledge what is climate risk and how what is green bonds and how you're going to look at it. So you need to have an idea, right? So that's the one point. Now there is also cultural imperatives. Now responsibility for climatic risk management must be as cascaded throughout the organization. That's a simple thing. Again, like any other risk, it has to be communicated and educated each and every fellow, because risk job is not confined only to the risk officer. Likewise, you need to obtain the services or need to support from each and every employee, right? So that you need to educate. Now, as compliance officer, as in one of the objective of the compliance officer, what is his one of the role of a compliance officer? What is the role of a risk officer to some extent? Especially the compliance officer's role is what? He has to educate the general public, educate the staff of the bank, as well as sometimes educate the senior management. What are the new development? What are the new rules and regulations? What are the directions given by the central bank in respect to areas? So the compliance officer's job is to educate, right? It is the job. It's an important thing. I mean, don't expect even for a board, right? Those people are not be aware. So that is why compliance officer there. Compliance officers, one of the main function is to educate the employees and support the people and about what is happening, what is new regulations, what is the new directions coming from central bank, right? Create awareness. The same thing, and it is a duty of the risk officer who is looking after now the climatic risk, right? To educate. There is something like that, right? And also become effective managers of climate risk. Bank need to quantify climate factors across the business plan. across the business and put in place the tool and processes need to take advantage of effectively. That means, so every time you must develop how your climate risk can be quantified, right? Then only if it's anything you be quantifying only, you can easily measure, easily control. So that is what. And also the one of the climate risk governance mean, so you need to quantify, right? And also in the same time ensure their operations are aligned with the demands of external holders, right? Okay, so that you may aware, right? And need to be aware, so our banks or your stakeholders, being other parties, are properly having a well control the climate governance structure established in organization as far as the climate is concerned, right? That's the first one. Simple one, right? Nothing new much, right? Second one, tailor business and credit strategy. Now, what is tailor business and credit strategy? So there, of course, we are going to look at it. Climate considerations should be deeply embedded in risk framework and capital allocation processes, right? That's the importance. Now, when you look at it, your risk framework and capital allocation processes, so climate consideration should be deeply embedded into that, right? The second one, that many institutions have decided not to serve certain companies or sectors who have imposed emissions threshold for financing in some sectors. Now, like now, another important things I'm going to discuss you now. You may have some accommodations, right? You may have a restrictions. Now, central bank also given a restriction. These are the organization you can grant accommodated. I mean, accommodated mean the loans. No, you need to have a 30%, like that 33%. Sometimes you can use your credit strategy. Some sort of, these are the areas we won't give loans. Now we have identified, if you're granting loans to this category, this organization, definitely they are using this for damaging the climate. It may be profitable, yes, but first you need to identify, we are not granting loan for these activities and this organization, because their main intention of either directly or indirectly, which they made the, that is your credit strategy, right? So that's why we mentioned you need to identify, right? And also boards should regularly identify the potential threat to strategy plans and business model, right? Okay, so every time the board, the job of the board is to analyze, no, so your strategy plan and whether your business plan, whether it is achieving. Every month usually board have a review meeting, know about your progress. So they are, of course, they may take into account special the credit climatic risk, right? Okay, then third one, we look at it, align risk processors. Now this is what you call is aligning or climate risk exposure with risk appetite and the business and credit strategy. So we need to look at it, the risk appetite. The risk manager should inject climate risk considerations into risk management processes, including capital allocation, loan approvals, portfolio monitoring, and reporting, right? So that's the important things that is called aligned risk processes mean. So the risk officer need to inject some of the certain criteria into the risk assessment process before you granting a loan. These are the areas we won't give loans and blah blah. If these conditions are there, right, I won't give you a loan, something like that. Okay, so some institutions already have started to develop methodologies for assessing climatic risk and the level of individual counterparties, right? For that mean, so you can have a credit scoring incorporations to the certain using about these some climate risk parameters into you, right? You may have a credit scoring scheme, no? So that when you take into account the credit scoring scheme, so you may incorporate some of the climatic risk areas into your credit scoring areas, right? So now this resulting risk score can be used to inform credit decision and to create portfolio overview. So that's an important area you need to look at it, right? Yeah, these are some of the things maybe look at it, aligning of risk processes. Then the fourth one, get up to speed on stress testing, right? Now, the compliance testing is done by the compliance officer. Usually in an organization, stress testing is done by the risk officer, right? So she or he need to do a stress testing. So what is stress testing? Stress testing means see whether to what extent your organization can tolerate, can absorb certain changes taking place in the external environment. So the climate also the same. So only thing is you add that stress testing to climate. Now, scenario analysis and stress tests, which are high on businesses and regulatory agendas, right? So you know that it's a compulsory thing, right? And also will be critical to leverage in helping bank access their resilience, right? That of course already is there, right? So important thing is here you take into account the stress testing you need to do for climatic issues as well, right? Then if possible, risk management team should also prepare a range of potential mitigants and put place in the system to translate test results into an overview of the bank position, right? So not only that, now for stress testing, so if you come across something like this, what are the mitigation action, right? That of course also need to be comes under stress testing, right? Usually if you do for other areas, no, likewise you do the same thing here for climate risk, right? The stress testing, right? The last one is the focus on enablers. Now, banks often lack the technical skill required to manage the climate risk. That of course is a new thing, no, right? So we understand it is a new type of risk. Still we don't have exposure in Sri Lanka, definitely showing something related to the climatic risk activity. So therefore, so banks often lack the technical skill, right, which you need to manage the climatic risk, right? So therefore, sometimes we may get the support from various right various areas, and also you may also obtain the services from the non-party, or maybe went for courses. I think in the future there may be a special risk management courses under climatic risk one day it's come, right? Or maybe bring part and parcel of now our bank, I mean Ibsl also conducting a lot of risk management 6-month courses, short courses, and one time they may be the climatic risk management may be a separate area, right? So therefore budget need to be allocated for these type of activities. Now today, when the central bank come for an infection, right? I think people who are involving in the climate, in the risk management or compliance may be aware that when the central bank come for the supervision, what they asking, right? So they be asking whether the whether the whether the risk department have adequately staff to address all the risk factors, or may they have competent people to analyze the risk. But sometimes the internal central bank supervision department will say, sometimes they will send your inside supervision. They said, okay, they don't have a much competent people to handle the risk in the bank like that, so they are not we have a proper sometimes they say they don't have a risk officer who is in that little bit of top position. That is why central bank is telling, when you are in the risk officer, he must be at least, right, your risk officer, he or she must be at least they are telling, I think it's on a chief manager level or above, right? Or maybe AGM level. I can't exactly know, but I know definitely it's more than either chief manager or AGM level, right? So your bank AGM risk officer should be in that grade, right? So even for compliance officer like that, either chief officer or chief manager or above grade. That means grade 1 and above, right? That's the normal because we must give some sort of authority to that person to carry out this work. If the risk officer is not having that sort of authority in the organization, it's very difficult to implement some of the things. So therefore, you must give them a adequate training and inputs to them to carry out these things. That is what is basically focus on enablers. Now, suppose if your bank comes under significantly or systematically important domestic bank category, central bank, I explained to you all these things last time. Central bank have a very vigilant observations about how your risk management is operating, right? If your bank comes under domestically systematic important bank category, when you are compared with other banks, they pay an specific attention to your risk area, risk management, whether you have a competent people, whether they have the competent knowledge and all sorts of things, right? So therefore, and you need to even now is itself ready for looking to these aspects, right? That is what this focus on enablers mean, right? Okay, these are the 5 principles for climate risk management. You need to have a sharper lens, right, in the future with respect to climatic risk. So okay, so these are some of the things we need to look at it when this comes to the climatic risk management concern, right? So now we'll have a break, and once you complete the break, we are going to okay, not much, right? Okay, we may be going to touch about the risk of going green, right? We may look at it very briefly. Risk. So what is the risk? Risk management, yes. Risk also, going for green also risk, right? Let's look at it, what are those things, and then we very briefly touch about sustainable investing, right? And then we move into the final thing, that is what you call I think we have a time briefly touch about how to develop a new credit product to your organization, right? We'll have a break. Now is 3:40, no, yeah, 3:40. So we will catch you around 4 o'clock, right? 4:45. Okay. Right, we'll start the proceedings, and now we're going to discuss about risk of going green, right? Risk of going green. So one of the largest detractor when investing in green bonds is the lack of liquidity. Now, in order to provide the green loan, so you must have funds, no? Now, it's very difficult to find out by the banks for issuing green bonds. Usually, remember the green bonds are usually have a longer tenor, right? Usually as a longer tenor, the banks have a lot of problem with funding with short-term deposits for long term. So that is why the international bodies will look at it whether they can have a credit lines to those, right? Okay, so then at least another important thing is um, and unpopular about the green bonds, right? And right, so and another important thing, whether to bond since a long term, the green bonds are usually long term, and the investors have a second thought. Okay, so I need to tie up money for a longer period, right? So that's another issue, and also fundraising for this type of activities. Then and other important factor is, as I mentioned to you, is clear definitions about what is green bonds to investors. Now, what is the where their money is going, and what is the return? Usually, the return also a little bit of low yields, right, and maybe a mispricing, sufficient research available to get an opinion about this bond, right? Even for credit rating for such bonds is not so done in still a proper standard methodology, right? And there may be a lot of unethical activities can take place for these activities, for money laundering and live fixing, then greenwashing. So all have some sort of a risk involving in going in green, right? Then we move into the sustainable investing. Now, sustainable investing, the concept of sustainable investing is a sort of a modern investment strategy where investments are directed at not only the financial results but also on seeking positive social and environmental impact. Now we discuss the bond. Now we are discussing investment. Now they are not only look at it now in today's context. The investors are not only look at it the financial gain, but they look at it to what extent the social and this bond have the social and environmental impact, right? So therefore, sustainable investment is commonly can be identified or defined as it is an socially responsible investing. That is what we call CRI, or sometimes some people are talk about sustainable investing as an ethical investing, right? Whereby the environmental, social, and governance considerations are integrated into the investment process. So, like bond, so even for the sustainable investors, also may look at it the ESG factors, right? So, when you're going to invest, those there are some advantages and disadvantages of sustainable investing, and disadvantages are time and research, lack of research, and take some time, the time factor, and there may be a other options available where you get a higher return, right? And this may be not the best investment opportunity. There may be other opportunities available. Usually for higher sustainable investing, usually you higher fees, right? And also, and the sustainable is a subjective definition, very subjective, right? And there are some advantages also for sustainable investing. Some people are willing to go for investment where it will protect the environment. and it is also a form of investment with a competitive return at a limited risk. That's also important area. So because when you're going for a environmental and corporate and social factors into account, that mean the risk of these investments are very much less, right? Okay, now that one of the example I can quote you in this scenario, the famous Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, the guy who produced the electric cars in the world, and they basically offered, they issue, okay, anybody can buy their cars through not the cash, through the cryptocurrencies, right? So anybody want to buy a car, electric car, Tesla car, anybody can buy using cryptocurrencies. Now that's what happened, in during this year, early this year, the crypto price is around 9,000, right? $1 crypto value is around 9,000 to 8,000 in January, February, right? January, more or less. Then in April, the crypto value has gone to ever high price, is around 63,000 US dollar. One crypto is equal to 63,000 US dollar, right? And now again come down to around 35,000. Not, but why it has gone up, right? And because one reason is the Tesla cars can be purchased through cryptocurrency. One reason. And then why it has come down then? One reason is, of course, China banned the purchase of using cryptocurrencies. But other than that, and Tesla also, after some years, some months, they said, okay, they are stop selling their Tesla cars for cryptos. Now, what is the argument? They say, okay, now if you are going to buy cryptocurrencies, now cryptocurrency is the heavy polluter in the environment. To get one unit of cryptocurrency, or what you call the Bitcoin, it consume maybe around the I can't remember the exactly amount, large 20,000 odds power, right? Megawatt powers. So that is then through that, so you are damaging the pollute the environment. So that's the reason Elon Musk talked. So that is why he said, okay, that is not a good thing. So we are damaging the natural environment. That's the reason why it has come down. Okay, so let me look at it now. The challenges mentioned in this sustainable finance overall, and there's no uniform sustainable finance taxonomy, right? Implemented globally. That is a totally new, and this has led to ESG factors considered in the assessments of sustainable finance being inconsistent and incomparable. So if we want to compare two investment in similar nature, and it is very difficult because these factors and are not much properly assessed, right? So second point is lack of expertise and capacity will be a barrier faced by all the stakeholders, including the regulators. That's another important challenge organizations are facing, right? And then especially the new green products and technologies will evolve dynamically, and expertise and experience will be required to assess viability. So therefore, capacity building efforts and technology guidance are paramount important for this type of initiative. So that still is not there because it is at a very immature stage. Another important point is information asymmetry. Now, information asymmetry, I think you may be aware. So it has to be available to both parties, right? To the investor as well as to the to the organization. So therefore, here the sustainable finance from both loan origination and risk management may hinder certain sustainable initiative because the informations are not available to both party to take some quality decision. That's another drawback in sustainable finance, right? So therefore, in the right recipe for sustainable finance initiative to thrive in Sri Lanka's context, therefore, would be a challenge for all stakeholders involved, right? So that's another important area, and I think all these problems we sort it out in the time to come with if you found adequate research and adequate framework, adequate taxonomy, so we'll sort it out, right? That's the present position is concerned. Now there are new area. Some people are talking about new. They give new names, right? Sustainable financing, right? Green financing, and some people are now introduce another new concept is called social financing. Now, social financing mean so how you finance for some social creating activities. Now, a good example they have quoted. I don't know whether you know this fellow. Anybody know who is this guy? Right? He's the guy who introduced the microfinance concept to the world. The Bangladesh guy, right? I can't remember his first name. He's Anybody know his name? He's the person who introduced this what you call the microfinance, a group lending to the world, right? And in fact, he won the global award for that, right? And in fact, he won the global award for that. For introducing this microfinance. If anybody who give loans for social aspect activities like education, maybe like microfinance activities, and the new word we call them as a social finance, right? There may be a social financing products and tools also available now, right? Just for you to understand, there are some technical words coming, right? Now with this the balance period, we may going to discuss about the developing a credit product. Now this is basically purely on marketing something. So we use some of the marketing tool to discuss about the develop a new credit product. In fact, this is in your syllabus, right? How to market the credit product, and one part is the developing a credit product. Now, say you are joined a particular organization or particular bank, and you was asked to come up with developing a new credit product to your organization, right? Sometimes they'll ask from you, okay, so you want to develop a new credit product for, say, for education purposes, or maybe a micro finance sector, or maybe commercial sector, or whatever the area, right? So what are the steps you are going to apply, right? That's what I'm going to discuss with you, how to develop a new credit product for your organization. Now, before you start that, what is product? Now you need to have the definitions of product. So that is, a product is technically we define anything you offer to the market. Anything you offer to the market for attention and acquisition, use, consumption that might satisfy a want or a need of a customer, right? So therefore, anything you can offer to your market for attention, acquisition, use, consumption that might satisfy a want or need. Now, for example, so products you are going to offer to the market, credit product you are going to offer to the market for what? So customers to use it, or customers to acquire it, right? You can't consume. So that is what you call attention and use it, right? And what you are going to satisfy? You are going to satisfy a customer some sort of financial requirement, right? It is applicable to anything. So that is why you call product is anything that can be offered to a market for attention, acquisition, use, consumption that might satisfy a want or a need. Now, products in if you talk in the marketing angle includes so many things. Products can be tangible products, right? You see thousands and millions of tangible products available in the market where we are using, right, and satisfied, right? Then we have a lot of services. Products can be a service. Now services like financial product, credit products, what you say, insurance product, hotels, then mobile, all are services, right? And information. Products can be an information where you're sharing information. Right now, institution like Ibsl, right? Even for internet, then maybe Facebook or whatever, you provide information, right? And experiences. Now, what is experiences mean? Basically, you went for a some theme park, right? Right, you go to the some theme park. What are you got there? So where you are getting the experiences, right? Experiences. When you drive, when you go for a roller coaster or roller coaster, or maybe some some adventure activity. So what you are getting the experiences, right? So experience also can be marketed. So therefore events now, like these days, you have experience with these days you have an experience with the T20 series. So events, the events can be marketed. Then the people can be marketed. And the places like Sri Lanka, good destination to invest, good destination to enjoy, have a leisure time, like that, you can market the places, right? See, here in Sri Lanka, there are some places. And you can market the organizations as well, right? Okay, then you also can market ideas, like politicians market ideas, right? Or maybe mixture of these. So product can be considered any of these things. Now here, what we are discussing in the product is a solution or credit product, right? Some sort of a service product. Now, when you're marketing a service product, it's not like any other product. It's having some characteristics that, of course, you may be aware that characteristics are service. When you're marketing a service, it is an intangible in nature, and it is inseparable, variable, and perishable. You cannot keep it, right? It's maybe vary and inseparable, difficult to deviate the consumer and the user and the provider, and it is intangible, not appealing to your five senses. These are some of the very basic things you need to know about when you discuss about product and services. Just to give you some principal understanding, what is product and what is service and what are the differences, right? So very simple. These things must be well aware. But before you go into the detail, you need to understand all these things, right? Okay. So now let's look at it. What is the new product development process, right? Now, this new product development is a process, right? So it usually starting with idea generation, right? Then screening, concept development and testing, business analysis, product development, test marketing, commercialization and launch, and monitoring and evaluation, right? So now we are going to discuss these things in little bit of detail, right? So this is the normal NPD process. Now your organization, your bank must, sometimes some banks are having product development committee, right? Like ALCO. Now ALCO, there is a committee, is a management committee. So ALCO is consist of different people, like people from finance join, people from marketing also join, people from operations will join, people from risk people also join, compliance and finance. Likewise, there are usually a team of people are there to take some asset liability decision. That is important decision. One of the main superior high class management committee, ALCO, right? I don't want to explain the role and duties of ALCO. Basically, they look at it, the liquidity of the organization, and they take decisions about the pricing, right? So different people are there because why? Because they need to get a good input to the organization, ALCO, to take a quality decisions. Like that, organizations also have a product development committee. These committee are not mandatory, but it's depend on the organization. Also consist of usually people from different areas, right? Now marketing will get some ideas about the market, operation people like that, and finance people look at the feasibility, the compliance will look at the regulatory aspects. Then even the legal people may take some look into legal aspect. The risk guys are there to look at the risk factors, right? Then like that, there are so many people involving in this product committee, right? But the process is this, right? Okay, let me now try to explain this process in little bit detail, right? First you take the idea generation, right? Now idea generation is a continuous systematic search for a new product. Now in usually new products can come from two ways. New products can come from two ways. One is purely new product, right? It's a purely new product. But most of the new products are generated by modifying or regenerating your existing product, right? Majority of new products are coming for changing your existing product or modifying your existing product. It's very rare the new products. Now, maybe most of the new products maybe accidentally come. Now, I will give you an example. The non-stick saucepan. There's a non-stick. So non-stick came. It's a totally new idea. It suddenly came, and also a very famous one, penicillin. Right, penicillin also came suddenly. Right, so new ideas came sometimes. Now look at iPod developed by Apple. That's the innovation, right? iPod, right? iPod series of iPod. That's how the Apple being in the very early stage is less than Microsoft company, but they have overtaken the Microsoft company. Why? Because of new product, right? And also you noted in the risk management also you learn there may be a certain risk we identify. There is some risk, right? Is always have a negative impact, right? Some risk you identify always give me a bad effect. Risk is always bad. But some risks also have the both. It may be positive, it may be negative, right? May be successful, maybe or not. It have a both successful and unsuccessful. But some risks are basically are purely on bad or disadvantage. Now, product development, so the product development also comes under the risk, which is may benefit, may loss. When you introduce a product, it may be successful, right? Or sometimes the products are fail. And it was estimated that majority of, almost 80 to 75% or 90% of new products are failed due to various reasons, right? So you need to understand. Now I think we look at it from the risk angle about the new product, right? That is called down research and upside research. I like that. You can divide your research risk into two. Always give the negative, and also we have a 50-50 chance, right? That 50-50 chance is this product development. Okay, so having understood that little bit of risk aspect, the idea generation is the systematic search for a new product. Now, as you are aware, for an organization, you need to, every time you need to look at it, your existing product portfolio, right? Otherwise, whatever you learn about the product life cycle, I think you may learn about the product cycle, right? So you see the product life cycle. So after the product is reached in the maturity stage, what happened? So product going to come down, decline stage. Because at the maturity stage, you are earning high profits, right? High market share, everything. But you know, the product's going to come down, maybe vanish from the market. I will tell you a good classic example here. Some of you may be aware that SR. How many of you are aware about SR? Have you heard about SR, Puda? Toothpaste? Anyone heard about the SR? No? That was manufactured by Unilever. Now SR is no more, no? SR is no. Right? That was vanished. Have you heard about what is the other soap marketed by Unilever, famous one? Rexona. It's Rexona soap. There's no Rexona now, no? Right? The product at the maturity stage collapse. Right? But the products which come to the maturity stage, you know, the next step is decline. So unless otherwise you do a relaunch the product or remodify the product, products come down, right? In order to replace your product, which are in the maturity stage where I have in the high market share, right? There must be products in the pipeline, so which replace this product. Now it's like a leadership, succession planning. Now you know one your officer, I mean the guy in the top position, he may be retiring. Now, if you don't have a product in the product life cycle to replace that person, right, replace him, what happened? The organization have an issue. Similar way, the product life cycle, right, also must have a new products. So that is why one reason we need to introduce new product. So now we are discussing with the introductions of a new product. The first step is idea generation, right? Now remember the idea generation. Okay. So now we put forward the, credit product. We need to introduce a product to the, say, we'll introduce the products to the, what is the market? Okay, ladies product, we say for example. Ladies loan scheme, right? Or teachers something. We get the teacher, right? Okay, we'll take a, you want to introduce a loan product for teachers, right? Teachers come again, teachers, right? Okay, so that's your loan product, right? Now, how to develop? Now you was requesting, okay, you have noted that. We don't have a product for teachers. So how you develop a new credit product for teachers? A sort of a personal loan, example. Personal loan, very sensitive, personal loan to teachers, right? That is the one. So now we are going to develop some sort of a new ideas. What are the features? What are the attributes you're going to incorporate to the this teachers loan scheme, right? So that's the idea, right? What are the areas you need to look at it, right? So then what are the methods available for that generating ideas? So you can do a dimensional analysis. So what do you mean by a dimensional analysis? List all the physical characteristics of a product type, right? So all the features you need to incorporate, right? Now that you collect, what are the existing loan issued by your competitors sometimes, right? Are there any product issued by your competitors? Similar product. You collect all the information, right? And also you collect, sometimes you may collect information pertaining to some insurance companies may be used. There is nothing to do with your product, but there may be some insurance scheme developed by insurance companies for teachers. Then look at it. What are the areas? And also you may look at problem analysis, right? Problem analysis. Okay, you just discuss with teachers and have some sort of a research. You are trying to analyze the problem, right? What sort of problem, what sort of a problem the teachers are facing? Why they need money? For what purposes? Right? So that is what you call problem analysis. So this is the way you generate ideas. This is a sort of a research. You identify the problem faced by teachers today and look at it by providing a credit product to these teachers, right? Whether we can sort it out some problems, right? So that's another method. Right? Okay, clear now? Right? That's the first step. Now, first we're talking about two things, then dimensional analysis and problem solving analysis. So there, of course, as I explained to you earlier, we are trying to collect information, a similar information, whether your competitor banks are offered products to teachers, collect all this information, all these features. And you also may look at it sometimes. There are some insurance companies issue certain insurance product to these teachers, right? So what are their features? Or also you can use it, some of the international banks and in other countries, are they use a similar product to those people, right? So you collect all the information, all the possible features, whether you can incorporate into your credit product. And also sometimes you can do a carried out the research and find it out, asking from them what are the problems they are facing. That's the first hand information, right? Not only from one, you may be asked from different segments and collect information, right? And you have a list of ideas, maybe 10, 20 like that. Okay. So having understood these ideas, now can you apply all these ideas? Can you implement all these ideas? No. So then you need to look at it. What are the good ideas? Right? You have to select few ideas out of many ideas you have collected. When you screening, or what you call the scanning, you may look at it some factors before you're dropping that idea. You may look at the market size, right? You may look at the pricing. You may look at the development time and cost. You may look at the what is the rate of return we are going to get it, how much you're going to spend for advertising and blah blah. What is the market size? Market size means how many teachers in Sri Lanka? That is your market size. What is their normal salary? Right? So have an idea now. Right. Now you have an idea, and based on that criteria, you are going to select the best idea, or maybe 2, 3, 4 ideas out of many ideas, which is more suitable for you to consider based on these criteria. Now you have ideas, so now you have idea screening. Right? That's the second step. That is what you call idea screening. Next step is what you call concept development and testing. Now that's the important thing. Now once you have the developed idea, you need to develop these ideas into concept. Right? You need to develop these idea into concept. So maybe descriptions and visualization of the product idea and concept. Okay, how are we going to offer? Right, whether we give him a passbook or only for statement or whatever. I mean, all the things you're going to look at it in the concept. Right, your idea convert into concept. Now, I told you the new product development is a costly. Remember, new product development is a costly. So you want to test this idea. You need to test this idea. So you can do some concept testing. You may do some testing while asking from real teachers. We are going to launch a product like this. Then what do you think, teacher? Or whether you are okay and blah, blah. And you have tried to get the testing. So you may have a 2, 3, 4 ideas or concepts. You forward to some sample, and you are trying to test, right? And they said at that time, "Apu oka wadak nahi. Atang meka mehema tibbana hodai. Mekata mehema awana hodai." So you get your concept tested at the initial stage. So that ensure that the market acceptance is there, at least before proceeding. Now okay, so there is a green light was given by the market, right? And this seemed to be okay. And from that, you testing and you select the best concept. You may throw 2, 3 concepts. Now, in the concept development and testing stage, what you do, basically, you choose the best one and okay, saying okay. That's the third step. What is the third step? Now we discuss so many things. So in the process, right? Now if you look at it, these stress, right? Now look at the next stress is the idea generation. Okay, right? And then you screen. That's also okay. What is the third step? Third step is concept development and testing. That also okay, right? Okay. Now we move into the business analysis, right? Business analysis stage, right? What are you going to look at it on the business analysis or the strategy development stage, right? Now you look at it. Okay, now target market, right? You're going to look at it, your target market. Now you already identify your target market, that is teachers. Now within the teachers also, right? What type of people you are going to look at it, right? Whether urban teachers, whether the private school teachers, right? You may also look at it, your strategy development, marketing strategy development. You may look at it, right? How much money you are going to use it, right? And how you're going to position your product in the consumer's mind, right? What is the marketing mixed strategy elements you are going to use when you're communicating with customers, and all points you take into account, right? That is the marketing strategy development stage. right? Then you go for a business analysis stage where you look at the viability of your process, having understood this, right? So how much you're going to earn, how much is accounts you're going to open, right? Through introducing a credit product, to how much of credit loans you can grant it, right? So you can some projections, right? We have a say 1 million, say for example, 200 teachers in Sri Lanka, example, right? Okay, how much of loans you are trying to get into these segment, right? It can be developed through branch wise, right, or regional wise or country wise, whatever, right? You need to look at the profit projections, right? Whether this loan going to be continued by teachers, and most important thing is you need to look at it other factors. Teachers are, already taken enough loans, right? Teachers are usually taken enough loan, right? So are there any possibility to buy another loan? What is their repayments ability? How you get the security for that, right? All things you need to look at it. That's the business analysis, right? Every stage, why we have a lot of stages? Every stage we can add something or we can drop. That's important. Or otherwise you go back again to the earlier stage and relook at it. If everything is okay, you move into the next stage. Now say, okay, business analysis is good, concept also done. We have the good marketing strategy to launch this product, and business-wise also seem to be very successful. We have a huge market potential. We have enough teachers, and lot of their requirement is not fulfilled by any bank, right? And therefore seem to be okay. Right, you did some analysis and you are okay in that case. Clear? Right. Now, having given the green for this as well, and then you are moving to the next level. What is the next level? Now you are going to develop, actually you are going to develop your credit products, right? Including features. It may be come up with nice leaflets, nice advertisement, right? And all sort of things. How we are going to offer this product to the market, right? So that's a product development stage, right? So really developing your concept into the real life product, right? We think straight away these are the benefits and these are the way of opening an account, opening a loan account. What are the additional benefits you are going to get? All things you incorporate under product development. So that means you are come to a little later stages of your product life cycle. Now product is available, right? Now product is available. Now, what you're going to do with this product? Now you develop, right? The next one is what you call the test marketing. Now you've done a concept testing at the very early stages. Now we are going to do some test marketing. Now this is a very risky area, right? Where that means you are going to really test your product in the customers, real product in the customer, in the market, right? Now, what is the danger of test marketing? Because your competitor maybe get to know you are going to launch a product to teachers. Now, I will now tell you some interesting stories about test marketing, why it is very dangerous. Now, I think I have quoted several times for different students on this. Just look at it, a danger of test marketing, right? Okay, if I'll ask some of you all, who introduced Pepsi Cola to Sri Lankan market? Who introduced first? Can anyone tell me? Who introducing Pepsi Cola, the international brand, to the Sri Lankan market? Can anyone tell me who first introduced this Pepsi Cola to Sri Lankan market? Kosala, are you aware? No? Kanchana, are you aware on that? Who introduced the Pepsi Cola to the Sri Lankan market? Maharaja. No, Puta, no. Right, right. If you believe me, you know who is introduced.
Coca-Cola.
They introduced. No, Coca-Cola is the company, no. So they can't handle two international brand, Puta. Right? They will not give the licensing. Right? The first, this is a true story because in my when I did my marketing, I did this case study. Right? That's what I'm very aware on that. So it's introduced by Costos, Ceylon Costos, right? Ceylon Costos. This is a true story, right? Just interesting story about the test marketing. Now, Costos, have their own domestic products, no, like orange barley, necto, cream soda, soda, and all. They have a local brand with the elephant brand symptom, right? Right. So Costos, Ceylon Costos, CCC, their main competitor is who at that time is Pure Beverages. I don't know whether you can remember Pure Beverages, right? Where are the people who marketed what? Ara Biwava Thampure Kata Ratueni. What are they? I don't know whether you can remember Nick, what you call Sharona. Necto. Not Necto Puta. Portillo. Necto is marketed by Ceylon Costos, no? But Pure Beverages had their local brands are Sharona, then they have the another one we call Portillo. The Portillo, right? And top of that they had the international brand, what you call Coca-Cola. Now, these are the two main competitors, right? The issue of these your competitors, what happened when you're launching a product, then Ceylon Costos also want to fight with Pure Beverages with Coca-Cola. They also want to get in down in the international brand. So Pepsi Cola is an international brand, is a competitor to Coca-Cola, right? So Coca-Cola, to fight the Coca-Cola, the Ceylon Costos enter into a contract with the parent company in USA with the Pepsi Cola. Okay, so they got the licensing agreement. Now you know what is licensing agreement and franchising agreement. Now the franchising agreements are like you have Burger King with SoftLogic, KFC with Cargill's, and then McDonald's with Abbas. Those are we call franchising arrangement, right? But licensing arrangement mean like Coca-Cola by Coca-Cola company and Pepsi like that. So there are they call licensing. What is the difference? The franchising, you may have the service element, right? Those outlets, you need to be look like McDonald's wherever you go, and the services also need to be maintained according to the international standard. Wherever you go, you can see the McDonald's boards are same, services all to some extent are same. That is, therefore, we have a hybrid approach, both product and services. But as per the Coca-Cola is arrangement, they are selling only what? They are selling only the powder and the what? The brand name. They can use the brand name. Right. Now, what happened in Sri Lanka, if you really go abroad, if you drink Coca-Cola in Sri Lanka, honestly, I'm just telling you, somebody's maybe aware, agree with me. If you're going for abroad, please drink Coca-Cola and drink the local Coca-Cola. So you see the difference, right? So that's, they are not much bothered about that, but McDonald's, that arrangement is different. So they want to maintain the consistency. Okay, now that's the two things. Now Pepsi Cola was basically licensed by the cold stores, and they introduced this market with a high tamasha, right? They they introduced with this Pepsi Cola. Now also I want to tell you something here. During that time, remember this very carefully. During that time, no plastic bottles. During that time, no plastic bottles. Only glass bottles are available. No plastic. During that time, only glass bottle. So now, Pepsi Cola company, they can't sell the bottles, no. The local Colombo cold stores needs to be prepared the bottle for that. That, we have a recycling bottles, no. බෝතලයක් දුන්නම තමයි බෝතලයක් දෙන්නේ. නැත්නම් සල්ලි දීලා ගන්න ඕනේ බෝතලේ නේ. මතකයිනේ බියර් වගේ. Right. Then what happened? So the cold stores in Sri Lanka, we had only one glass company, that is Ceylon Glass Company. The estimated amount cannot be produced by Ceylon Glass Company in Sri Lanka. So therefore, Coca-Cola stores has to import glass bottles from India. Right? So it's a huge cost, huge investment, bottle itself. Why? Because you can't charge from the customer. No, the first instance, the bottle has to be given by free by the organization, right? So they spend a lot of money for that. Right, now they done everything. So bottling is no problem. Why? They have already planned. No, only thing is they put the powder and mix it water, and bottling is there. They have the bottling facility. Right. Now what happened? They launched the market with a massive campaign like this. Now, I don't know whether you will recall, they initiated with the campaign a motor bicycle. During that time, having a motor bicycle is a privilege, right? To have because during that time, no vehicles like that, whole vehicle and a motorbike. So they said, so if you collect those that front cuffs, they have some motorbike labels, right? I can still remember. Then they have some having the handle, some having the seat, some having the bottle part. Now, motorbike was put it into the different parts, and customer who need to collect all these what you call the parts to win a motorbike. So they said they are issuing 10 motorbikes. They are issuing 10 motorbikes to the customers, right? So you need to drink more Pepsi Cola to get that one. Bike is like a car. It's a very interesting offer, right? Okay. So having everything, have a massive advertising campaign. Coca-Cola, Pepsi Cola was introduced by cold stores to the Sri Lankan market. Right? Now, and after 1, 2, 3 weeks, my goodness, Ceylon cold stores is very happy. Why is very happy? Because all the bottles sold out. They never expected such a speed to be have such a market acceptance. Now, what happened? Now they are waiting to the empty bottles to come for them for recycling. That's the point. Then I bottled again. Then agents like bottles again. Bottles won't come. The empty bottles won't come back to the cold stores. they also are not much worried about. Then they, after that, they did some sort of a research for that. What happened? Where is this bottle? Now, you know who has bought most of these bottles, right? Who? Their competitor. The Coca-Cola make use of some of the people, some of the people, and they bought the Pepsi-Cola. Right? They bought, the competitor bought the Pepsi-Cola. Right? And then what they have done it? Dirty things, yeah? They have destroyed those bottles. They have destroyed these bottles. Now, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, the cost was waiting for get this bottle to reload it, repack it. My goodness. So then what happened? The moment you introduced the product to the market, competitor has destroyed your product. Right? Okay. So we have to be very careful. So then now it's not. I told you there won't be any plastic bottle during that time. So then, how much of money cost is going to incur for manufacture again the bottles, and time consuming, and then what happened? They lost the market because then they may not in a position to meet the terms and conditions of the parents company of the Pepsi-Cola. So therefore, they have withdrawn from the market. Now, what them to withdraw? The competitor has done some dirty work. What to do? So you have to be anticipate that also. This one was not anticipated. If it is a plastic bottle during that time, there's no problem. Remember, during that time we had only the glass bottles, right? Now is no problem. The similar thing happened. I just share it with you with earlier the Macklem breweries and Ceylon breweries. Now what happened? These breweries, they of course sharing. They are sharing. Right, they are sharing now. Now, if you can bring, not like Costos and all, any beer bottles you can get any beer like you like it. If you give any beer bottle, right, and the dealer or wine shop will give you any type of beer bottle. So what in between these two companies are sharing their bottles, right? Okay, now that also indicator to one company how much of sales other people are doing, because you are getting more competitors' bottles into you. That means your competitor is doing better than you know. Right? So these are some of the things, some of the tactics. Right? That is what I'm telling you. Sometimes when you're introducing a product, so one way your competitor maybe destroy your product. Right? When you're introducing a credit products to the market, sometimes remember your competitor can be destroyed because they may copy your product and introducing a similar products better than you. Now, again, for that, I will explain to you another important real life situation. The big racer, and I think you may aware about the big racer and the Gillette, right? And the Gillette company did a lot of research developing a new product. What is the product they develop? The disposable razor. The disposable razor, right? Cut and throw it. Earlier we had some reusable, only you need to change the blade. Now what happened? So once they develop, they do a test market. They did a test market in the market, see whether this disposable razor is, maybe effective or not, right? So Gillette, the big company get to know about this initiative by Gillette company. What they have done it, they introduce before Gillette introduced to the market, right? So I give you some example. When you introduce the product to the market, so we have to be careful. Your competitor, therefore, maybe introduce this product before you. When you want to do the test marketing, so you need to carefully select which market you are going to do. Now, products like this, you may look at it, which when you're going to do a test marketing. So that means your test marketing mean you do give certain introduce 2-3 products to the certain area. Usually in Sri Lanka, when you're going to do the test marketing, the ideal place they selecting to do test marketing in Kampa, Kandy, and Gold. These are the 3 areas they are usually selecting. Why? Because during these 3 areas, it represents the population. It's a research, no doubt. Test marketing also some sort of a sampling testing, no? Right? Therefore, if order to take a decision about the sampling, the sample must be represent the population. Right? So for that is ideal place is in Sri Lanka, if you want to do the test marketing, is in Kampa, or maybe Gold or Kandy. But there are different set of people, right? If you feel it, these are successful, you may take a decisions to launch this one in the national. But in countries like India, now test marketing is very important. Now, in countries like India, because of the bigness, I mean the area, it's a huge area now in India. So India usually they never going to launch nationally. Usually India will launch in regional basis. Usually, then only it's successful. Only is go for other regions, because the region is like Sri Lankan market. But Sri Lanka, we don't have a problem like that, right? Okay, we may go for country-wise, introducing the new product. So that is what you call, right, the commercialization. It's called the commercialization, right? That process is called the commercialization. Right. Now, there are some products, suppose if you develop for different segments like fisheries, so then we don't want to go to the other areas, no? So certain products, then you select the areas, right? So depend on the credit products, you may select whether you're going for a certain area basis or maybe national launch, right? So that's the basically what you call the commercialization, right? Okay, now most of the time what happened, so once you launch the product, we have a weakness. What is the weakness? So we just launch the product, we don't have any follow-up. We don't have a monitoring and evaluation. We don't have to have a product review, right? So it is important. A lot of organizations forgetting this part, right? And you may have a product review process. It may be successful, your product, but you can do a better than this. For that, you need to do a review. Why these areas, these loan products, teachers are not buying? Why these areas, teachers not buying this loan? Right? What are the reasons? But there may be inherited problems in particular areas. Right? Okay, so you need to analyze that. So then you need to take appropriate actions to that. Right? Same loan teacher's product may be not buy by each and every teachers, maybe vary from place to place. Right? Therefore, you need to analyze that. Right? So that also important area you need to look at it. Right? Then what are the The experts in new products development meet the following challenges, right? Okay, identify the target audience for a new launch product. That's important thing. These are challenges. So are we identify the real audience, right? Design of a loan product in the free segment of the credit market. Compliance of the loan product with the requirements and possible of potential buyer. Opportunities for loan product promotion to be potential buyers. There are some areas you need to look at it, right? And then when you're developing a new loan product, it is important at the same time for complex process that requires deep knowledge about the credit market analysis, right? That's what we learn. What is the market situation? We learn in our lecture series the market analysis. Right? And also you need to look at it in other important areas when you're developing a product. One, strategic questions. Whether the management and the board would typically consider in the initial steps. What sort of support your board of directors and management will give. Right? And whether how much to usually before you launch in the market, usually in the bank's scenario, you call the entire branch. Usually you call the entire branch managers into the head office. Usually call, or maybe have the regional meeting and first introduce this product to your branch managers and create awareness about your product in the branch managers. Get their views again, and then request the branch managers to discuss this product with his own staff. Still we can do some changes, right? Because suppose the head office will launch the product, the customer go to the branch and they said, I saw advertisement. Product so mala. So that is why before you introduce the product to the market, so your internal people are well aware about this product. That is why you may have some sort of a meeting with managers and explain these are the features, these are the circular instruction, and these are the issues we come up by the customers, and this is the way you need to address these issues. Now, every product has some issues, so you need to educate all these things to the manager. Now, these type of questions can be asked by manager, by the customers. If a question asks, what is the ideal answer? So therefore, uniform answer. Right? Even this one give opportunity for managers to basically ask, clarify certain things. So something at which people may not aware, the managers can raise some operational issues, some practical issues. Then and there you can sort it out. Right? That is the importance of having a meeting. Right? Right? And you need to look at it. Right? Some innovative credit issues, product issues, right? You need to look at the regulatory requirement, right? That is why we get the support from the legal people and compliance, right? And sometimes we have a problem with performance-based remuneration methods. That means sometimes we may judge the manager's performance, how many loans you have given, all the issues, right? It's not a good issues. Therefore, you are trying to sell this product anyhow to the customers. What happen during, if you're going to do like cannibalization? What do you mean by a cannibalization? Mean again, you now you usually tell your existing customers to buy this product. No, then what happened? He withdraw the money from another account and buy this one. Ultimately, money is not developing, so same money will rotating, right? So you don't want to do that, right? Sometimes in the world, these new products are resulted for crisis. Now, I will give you an example here. Some of the asset-backed securities, ABS, the financial what you call the securitization products, and they have identified, those are new products, identify for a reason, for one of the reasons, for many reasons for financial crisis which took place 2007 and 8, but one of the reasons for financial crisis was identified introducing by those banks more complex derivative products like asset-backed securities and securitization, right? So therefore, when you're introducing a product, remember, you need to look at it, the aspects, areas express you need to look at it, right? Now I think you may have an idea about what is new product development and how to develop a new product and what are the factors you need to take into account when you're developing a new product, right? Clear? Right. So with this small thing, so we are going to wind up today. Right. So there I won't be come again for your area in your advanced diploma. So there may be one question from my area. Now I will open forum to you, right? Right. I'll just give an opportunity for you. What areas you like to ask the question? There are 20 marks question. Are there any specific areas anybody can suggest? Right? I will look at it, whether which area you like to ask question. Now we have done almost 12 hours, right? 12 hours lecture series. We discussed a lot of things, and I think this is benefited for you, not only for your credit business. I hope, right? It may be benefited for your general knowledge about the banking industry. Any idea or any area you're interested to ask question at the exam? Any area? So specific area you want to test you all, or you give me that liberty to me to ask any question? What do you think? You have a 10 minutes or 5-10 minutes, maximum 5. Any idea? No? ඔක්කොම හොඳයිද? ඕන එකෙන් අහන්න. බය නැහැ. එහෙමද? ඉෂාරා? That's what you are telling. Huh? Keep quiet.
No, sir, no, I'm listening.
What area you want, or any interesting area you want to ask question, or I can have my own
No, sir,
way of
no.
asking.
No.
They tell me what
Any
area you
area?
like.
Any area?
Any
Okay.
area. Oh, fantastic. So that means you've been with me for the last 12 hours. Huh?
No, I just
One
joined. Yes, sir.
Today?
Yeah.
My goodness, you lost lot of things now what we have discussed in the previous. I have catch the correct person, no? In that case. Okay, no
I think
problem. No problem. Please follow, right? I think if you have a recorded version, if you have a time, I know is a recording won't happen. I know. That is why better to students to be attend the lecture at then and there, because live listening and recording is because of you as bankers. I know you don't have a time to listen to all, right? Okay, I know that. But then if you have a time permit, so please go through your past lectures and you get some idea, right? Not only for credit businesses, but you have an idea, general idea about what is happening in the banking sector today, right? That's what we discuss. We discuss almost all the credit business areas. At least we touch areas, all your business credit areas, right? Okay, so since you all keep quiet, so I will ask one or two. Usually, present market conditions. Today area, my goodness, right? Okay, so we will test you. Of course, definitely, I'm going to test you. I will give a hint, right? I will give you some hint. I may no. I just put a joke, Krishwan. I just for the joke. So I may test it definitely one area about. I may test it about some new area also, right? For you to develop your knowledge, I may test it about something called the maybe something what you call the bond area, right? So credit risk, investment risk, and okay, new product development also. We'll see whether I can add something. Definitely the bond area. So I will please go through the bond area. What are the how you identify and things like that. So I just only give us some clue. So don't worry much on that. So you can just get 15 marks from out of 20 if you really follow the lectures, right? Okay, thank you very much, and thank you very much for being with me for the last 12 hours. I think I will add something for you for improve your knowledge. And but I am telling you, please update your knowledge if you want to go up the ladder in your banking career. Please update. Even for circulars are keep on changing. No, now you got a new circular on yesterday, right? Also, right? Please read the circulars, what is happening in the thing. And the central bank also going to have a separate department. If I ask you, right, if I ask from you, what is the department central bank recently established? Can anyone give me an answer? Right? What is the department central bank recently established? Yeah, good. Thank you. Krishwan, you got the correct answer. That is the divisions with respect to remittances. Right, good. I'm happy, right? So that's the very reason divisions the central bank established. They want to have a separate division to remittances. Now, the important thing is 80% of our trade deficits, right? Trade, okay, good. Hima Mali also put Kanchana. Okay, I'll give you my mobile, Kanchana. So important thing, because the 80% of our trade deposit was covered by foreign remittances. Imagine, that is our foreign remittances. To my knowledge, I think maybe around 10 to 12% will cover on GDP, right? So fairly huge amount. Okay, so that's what that I just asked that question for you to see whether you are how you are vigilant in the market, right? So as a banker, you need to know what is happening, right? A lot of things are changing, right? Okay, so my number is not 777. If you have any problem, just call me. Not 777 864 202. 864 202, not 777, right? 864 202. Easy to remember. Let us start with 8, then 64202. Okay, thank you very much. And again, been with me for the last 12 hours. So we will catch you some other day, some other area. Thank you very much again.